Chapter 712. Crown Prince, there's no need to be so courteous. We're family now. May I know why you've come to the palace at night? Seeing Du Guxiu acting like this, Dong Jun was unhappy, but he couldn't do anything about it. Oh, the Empress Dowager and Dong Jun have confirmed that the princess is sick and can't see me. You, Du Guxiu, don't go too far. Seeing that the servant who pretended to be Dong Huangling was pulled out, the Empress Dowager and the Empress Dowager were shocked. The Empress Dowager and Dong Jun's expressions changed. They didn't expect the later Qin's Crown Prince Du Guxiu to cause trouble in the eastern capital's palace. Crown Prince, please calm down. Empress Dowager Situ was anxious. Dong Jun didn't care about anything else and rushed forward. However, his weak body was nothing in front of Du Guxiu. I heard that the princess was infected with a strange disease and hasn't recovered for many months. I'm very worried about her, so I brought a doctor and some precious herbs, hoping that he can treat the princess. Du Guxiu calmly explained his intentions. After Du Guxiu finished speaking, a doctor walked out from behind him. This person was the later Qin's imperial physician, Chang Da. Behind Chang Dagua were many attendants, each holding a box of precious medicinal herbs. From the looks of it, they were indeed here to visit the princess. After Empress Dowager Situ and Dong Jun heard this, cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. The servant who pretended to be the princess wasn't sick at all. If Chang Da diagnosed her, wouldn't she be exposed? Dong Jun was young and couldn't handle Du Guxiu's aggressive aura. So he stuttered, Crown Prince Du Gu is too polite. My sister's illness isn't serious, so there's no need for Imperial Physician Chang to help. Oh, since it's not serious, why don't you let me see her? I've been admiring the princess for a long time, so it's time for me to meet her. Du Guxiu saw Dong Jun's timid expression, and he was even more convinced of what ministers was said earlier. As expected, the princess wasn't in the capital. Crown Prince. Empress Dowager Situ also broke out in cold sweat. She was the Empress Dowager and had experienced the rise and fall of the Eastern royal dynasty. Compared to Dong Jun, she was much calmer. Since the Crown Prince is so kind and generous to invite the later Qin's Grandmaster to visit us, I would like to invite the Crown Prince into the palace to treat my son's illness. After Empress Dowager Situ finished speaking, she secretly gave a look to a female official beside her. The latter understood and quietly left. The group immediately headed towards Dong Huangling's palace. Inside the palace, a pink curtain was lowered, and a slender figure could be vaguely seen sitting under the curtain. Thank you, Prince Du Gu, for coming from afar. Ling is not feeling well, so I can't personally receive you. I'm very sorry. A woman's voice came from inside. Her words were polite and somewhat moving. Princess, you're being too courteous. There's no need for such formalities between us. Chang Guxiu, go and treat the princess. Du Guxiu saw the pink palace and his heart was filled with disgust. Chang Dagua stepped forward and checked the princess. The princess hesitated for a moment, then stretched out a hand from the curtain. That hand was thin and slender, and the skin was excessively white. With a single look, one could tell that it was the hand of a person with a weak body. However, just as the princess stretched out her hand, Du Guxiu, who was originally standing at the side, took a step forward and grabbed onto that hand, then pulled it forcefully. A young girl, who was wearing the clothes of the princess, was pulled out from the curtain and heavily fell onto the ground. The young girl was so frightened that her expression changed greatly. Prince Du Gu, what are you doing? Empress Dowager Situ and Dong Jun didn't expect that Prince Du Gu would suddenly make things difficult for them. You want to deceive me with an impostor? Empress of Heaven Dong Jun, look carefully. Does the princess look like this? Du Guxiu's face was filled with gloominess. He grabbed onto the chin of the princess. Empress Dowager Situ and Dong Jun knew that Du Guxiu must have seen through the impostor. However, the two still had a trace of hope in their hearts. Empress Dowager Situ squeezed out a smile. Crown Prince, you really like to joke. She is naturally my daughter. Oh, Du Guxiu used a bit of strength, and the impostor felt that her chin was about to be crushed. She opened her eyes wide in fear. I am asking you, are you Dong Huangling? If you are lying, don't blame me for being impolite. At this moment, Du Guxiu was like an unruly wolf king. His tall figure was like a black cloud, pressing down on the hearts of everyone present. Although they were within the imperial palace of the eastern capital, none of the imperial guards dared to make a move. The despair in Dongjun and Empress Dowager Situ's hearts slowly spread, and the mother and son couldn't help but lean against each other. The impostor was so frightened that she couldn't say anything. On her face, which could be considered to be beautiful, there was only fear. "Crown Prince, please spare my life. I am only a maid." Right after she finished speaking, the sound of her chin being crushed could be heard. Empress Dowager Situ screamed miserably. The impostor was no longer breathing. Duguxiu swung his hand and threw the corpse away. The corpse smashed onto the palace wall, and blood splattered onto the wall. During the entire process, Duguxiu didn't even frown. To him, killing a lowly maid was as simple as stepping on an ant. From his thin and cool lips, he spat out a sentence that caused the Eastern Empress Dowager and Dongjun to tremble. "Such a disloyal servant. Xiu will help the Empress Dowager and Dongjun deal with her." After all, Dongjun was still young. When he saw Duguxiu committing murder in the Eastern Palace, he was so angry that his shoulders trembled. Ignoring the difference in height between him and Duguxiu, he rushed up and grabbed Duguxiu's collar. Gnashing his teeth, he cursed, "Duguxiu, you are too impudent. You actually dared to commit murder in the Eastern Palace." "Dongjun, watch your words. Xiu only killed an assassin who pretended to be the princess. Right now, the most important thing is to find the princess's whereabouts and ensure her safety, so that she can marry into Later Qin as soon as possible. This way, Later Qin and the Eastern capital will be able to marry each other." Duguxiu looked at the thin and weak emperor with disdain. Dongjun was about the same age as him. However, this youth, who was overly protected by the Eastern capital's imperial family, was as weak as a woman. His skin was fair, and his lips were pale. He looked like a weak and sickly young girl. Dongjun's head only reached Dongjun's shoulders. The hand that was grabbing Dongjun's collar was still trembling. Duguxiu swept Dongjun's hand away. The biting cold fighting aura caused Dongjun to stagger and sit on the ground. "Guards! Someone come! Chase this traitor out!" Dongjun's shouts echoed in the desolate Eastern Palace. The imperial guards, palace maids, and eunuchs all lowered their heads like ostriches. None of them dared to step forward to protect their master. Empress Dowager Situ and Dongjun felt an unprecedented loneliness. This magnificent palace was like a lifeless tomb that could bury them at any time. Chapter 713. Crown Prince. After a long time, Empress Dowager Situ opened her mouth as if she was sleepwalking. "Crown Prince, there is no need to be angry. Because Ling Er's body was unwell, she was sent to the continent's magic elite camp to look for the dazzling light teachers to treat her. The impersonation was just to avoid people's attention. Since the princess is fine, Xiu can be at ease. However, it has been quite a while since the princess was treated. It is time for her to return." Duguxiu was very satisfied with Empress Dowager Situ's reaction. "Mother, you can't." After witnessing Duguxiu's beast-like ruthlessness, how could Dongjun allow his sister to come back and die? "Crown Prince, don't worry. I will order someone to send a letter to Ling Er. Just say that I have contracted a serious illness. Ling Er is very filial and will definitely return." Empress Dowager Situ closed her eyes and tried to hold back her tears. "I have already tried my best. Ling Er, mother has let you down. However, if I don't follow this demon, the Eastern capital and your brother will be destroyed. I am a failure as a mother. I was unable to protect you and your brother. I have ruined your happiness in this life. If there is a next life, I hope that you will not be born in a declining imperial family." Empress Dowager Situ fell ill that night. Her illness was very serious. A few days later, the news was sent to the continent's magic elite camp's dark gold ranked teachers. However, at that time, Donghuang Ling was still on her way back to the continent's magic elite camp. Donghuang Ling was still immersed in the joy of returning to the continent's magic elite camp. Just when the airship was sailing, a small incident occurred. Two more people in the continent's magic elite camp made a breakthrough. Furthermore, the time when the two of them made their breakthroughs was almost the same. The first person to make a breakthrough was Chan Lian. After Chan Lian obtained the bracelet, her strength increased rapidly. Especially when she was confined on the airship, Chan Lian had a premonition that she was going to make a breakthrough to become a sky mage. The reason why Chan Lian made a breakthrough when everyone was eating breakfast was so that she could attract the attention of others. When she made a breakthrough, magic power gathered near the airship and emitted a strong magic undulation. When the students saw this, they all went over to take a look. Only then did Elder Helian's anger towards Chan Lian dissipate slightly. When Chan Lian walked out of the cabin, she had a smug expression. Right at this moment, Dong Huangling hurriedly ran over. Elder Helian, Yun Shang is about to break through. Early in the morning, Dong Huanglinger asked Yun Shang to have breakfast together. However, Yun Shang said that she wanted to meditate for a while more, as she felt that she was about to break through. Dong Huanglinger didn't take it to heart. When she returned to her cabin, she discovered that Yun Shang had already made a breakthrough. On the other hand, Yun Shang's breakthrough had been unintentionally facilitated. Furthermore, her breakthrough this time was very unexpected. Once the identity of the Flame Emperor was announced, as expected by Yun Shang, Gu Feng's face was filled with resentment. He complained that Yun Shang and Ling had kept it from them. Yun Shang simply left the problem to Ling to solve. She didn't even bother to eat breakfast. While Dong Huangling was out, she took the opportunity to study the maze stone. After retrieving the maze stone from the Heaven's Wing Jade, Yun Shang couldn't wait to find out what was hidden within the stone. According to Yun Shang's plan, she originally planned to wait until she broke through to become a sky magician before embedding the stone. Right now, she was still quite a distance away from becoming a sky magician. Thus, she decided to take a look at the stone first. Looking at the stone in her hand, Yun Shang first knocked on it. From the outside, it didn't look any different from an ordinary stone. Immediately after, Yun Shang used the fire of spirit to burn the stone. The dirt on the surface of the stone immediately peeled off, revealing the color inside. The color inside was actually multicolored. Yun Shang's finger touched the stone. Suddenly, a wave of magic power rushed out from the stone. By the time Yun Shang realized the power contained within the stone, it was already too late. A thought immediately flashed through her mind. She had to throw away the stone. Otherwise, her body would very likely be crushed by the excessive amount of magic power. Yun Shang made a prompt decision and immediately cut off the connection between her and the terrifying stone. However, that wave of magic power that entered her body earlier was still moving around in Yun Shang's body. It was as if there was a small snake moving around in her body, surging towards Yun Shang's Dharma soul. Yun Shang's face turned red. Her 4 limbs were filled with magic power to the point that they were about to explode. Yun Shang's Dharma soul was like a balloon, rapidly expanding. It was also this wave that made Dong Huangling mistakenly think that Yun Shang was about to break through. Hearing Dong Huangling's words, Elder Helian had a calm expression on his face. There's no need to be nervous. It's just a master magician breaking through to become a saint magician. Before Elder Helian finished speaking, the entire airship shook violently. It was as if the airship had suddenly encountered an air current while flying. Elder Helian was dumbfounded. Why would there be such a huge wave of magic power when breaking through to become a saint magician? This wave of magic power seems to be even greater than when Chan Lian broke through to become a sky magician. Elder Helian was shocked. He immediately ordered the students to move away. Don't go in. She is currently at the critical moment of breaking through to become a saint magician. If you recklessly go in, it will be very dangerous for both of you. Elder Helian stopped Dong Huangling. He also ordered the other students to move away from the cabin for the time being. After a long while, that wave of magic power finally disappeared. Yun Shang checked the Dharma soul within her body. Indeed, it had grown bigger. However, it was a pity that it still wasn't able to break through to become a sky magician. After this, Yun Shang didn't dare to casually touch that stone again. Yun Shang thought for a while, then decided to just say that she had broken through to become a saint magician. After all, she had already pretended to be a master magician for long enough. Congratulations, Yun Shang. Now, you will be able to obtain a chance to learn high-level magic. Her friends were all very happy for Yun Shang. Long before the group of students set off, Elder Helian had already said that any students who could break through in this trial would have the chance to learn high-level magic. Although Yun Shang's breakthrough this time didn't happen in Skywing City, it still happened before the trial was completed. Elder Hellion had been careless previously. He had only said that one could obtain a chance to learn high-level magic after breaking through. This time Yun Shang could be considered to have picked up a ready-made bargain. With this, there was one more person who obtained a chance to learn high-level magic. They were Yun Shang, abandoned, Gu Feng, Chen Liener and Feng Tian. Other than Yun Shang, the other four were already sky magicians. The other students on the airship could only feel envy in their hearts. 15 days later, the team from the continent's elite camp finally returned to the elite camp. Chapter 7:14. This time, Elder Hellion could be considered to have returned with great honor, bringing honor to the continent's magic elite battalion. The people of the Elder Council had also heard the news from the continent's warrior elite battalion. All of them were so happy that their faces bloomed. Yun Shang and Dong Huang Linger. The two of you have done well. The Great Elder represented the Elder Council and praised Yun Shang and Dong Huang Linger. The reason why they were able to win this time was all thanks to the sudden emergence of Yun Shang and Dong Huang Linger's Flame Emperor combination. Previously, the elders had never thought that they would be able to make use of the unpopular Yellow Wings competition zone to turn the tables and win. The brilliance of the others was also completely overshadowed. Even Feng Tian was no exception. When it came to depressing matters, there were two people who had suffered the most losses in this trial. Needless to say, Chen Liener disappeared without a trace the moment she got off the airship. Her matters had more or less spread to the continent's magic elite battalion. Although her strength had also broken through, her reputation had completely gone down the drain. Therefore, her teacher, Shi Yao, also had a constipated expression. Her gaze when looking at Yun Shang and Dong Huang Linger was like a knife, causing people to have goosebumps. The second person who was depressed was Feng Tian. Originally, he was the one who broke through the fastest among everyone. However, who knew that Yi Baiming from the continent's warrior elite battalion was even more monstrous than him? He actually broke through consecutively and became a martial emperor in a short span of a year. When the continent's youngest martial emperor appeared, Feng Tian's brilliance was immediately suppressed. He also didn't have the heart to stay any longer. After getting off the airship, he walked away. Gufeng, you have also done well. I've heard that you've already become a sky magus. Haha, you're our elite camp's second light element sky magus after Shi Guang. The age at which you broke through is only 1 year away from the continent's #1 magic genius, Xiao Wenxiu. The head elder once again examined the situation of the other students participating in the trial. He was very gratified to discover that in the past year, almost everyone's cultivation had risen by a large amount. According to the agreement before departure, any student who broke through will be able to obtain a chance to learn high-level magic. The people who broke through this time were Feng Tian, Chen Liener, Abandoned, Gufeng, and Yun Shang. Especially Yun Shang, your performance in this trial was the most outstanding. After discussion, the Elder Council has decided to make an exception and promote you to a 2-star student. The Great Elder announced the results of the trial. Those who had received rewards were overjoyed. The others also had their own gains. On the other hand, Yun Shang and Dong Huang Linger couldn't wait to tell the good news to their dark gold rank teacher. After the trainees returned to their respective mentors, the Great Elder gathered a few elders, including Elder Hellion, to discuss what they had seen and heard during the trial. For the elite magic camp of the continent, this trial was definitely not as simple as an ordinary trial. Many students broke through, and there were even students who became combat kings. However, these were not the most important things. Whether it was Elder Hellion or Elder Yu, they seemed to be arguing endlessly on the surface, but they were secretly moving around in Dutianwing City. In the past year, they had collected a lot of information. Big brother, the things you wanted me to inquire about, the whereabouts of the forbidden medicine and the strength of venerable heavenly wings. Elder Hellion reported the things he had inquired about. The matter of the forbidden medicine that third brother is concerned about is confirmed to have come from Hidden Night Pavilion in Skywing City. However, just before we returned, Hidden Night Pavilion was disintegrated. It is said that it has now become a branch of Little Xiantong. Elder Hellion only heard about it afterwards. Oh, Hidden Night Pavilion was unexpectedly disintegrated in such a short period of time. The second elder couldn't help but sigh after hearing it. Little Xiantong was the fastest rising medical center in the continent in recent years. It was said that even Medicine Emperor Pavilion couldn't do anything about it. A few years ago, it had already attracted the attention of the second elder. The second elder also specifically inquired about Little Ci Entong, but the information about its founder and its behind-the-scenes boss were all very mysterious. However, one thing was certain: Little Ci Entong had an extremely strong relationship with many hunting corps and everlasting chamber of commerce on the continent. Little Ci Entong's reputation is good. It is more popular than Medicine Emperor Pavilion. They also deal in potions, so we can cooperate. The Great Elder and Second Elder didn't have much opinion about the rise of Little Ci Entong. Medicine Emperor Pavilion's tyranny was well known in the continent. They were also very happy to see a new and more powerful medical center replace Medicine Emperor Pavilion. As for Venerable Heavenly Wings cultivation, it is stronger than we expected. The Second Elder recounted the story of Venerable Heavenly Wings beheading White-Crowned Eagle King. It seems that our previous suspicions were not wrong. Venerable Heavenly Wings went to the Dutian Blood Beast world. I suspect that he went to that place. The Great Elder pondered. Big Brother, do you think that Venerable Heavenly Wings also went to the deepest part of the Blood Beast world? Several elders asked. Unfortunately, the first generation of the Sea of Clouds is heavily guarded. Even I have no way to enter. Several students who went in also said that they didn't see the appearance of the Sky Magic Array. Elder Hellion went to Skywing City this time to enter the Sea of Clouds and explore the Sky Magic Array. Should be right. The Sky Magic Array should have imitated part of its function. The Beast Chaos in Skywing City this time is definitely not a coincidence. I'm afraid that those magic beasts have succeeded in their conspiracy and stole its secret. The Great Elder's face was full of worry. On the continent, only the true experts knew what it was. Gu Feng had said earlier that the continent's elite camp had the ability to open the entrance to the Dutian Blood Beast world. In fact, this wasn't entirely true. The secret of the Blood Beast world was not a secret in the eyes of the strongest experts on the continent, such as sky magicians and martial saints. Many experts would enter the Dutian Blood Beast world to train. However, their training areas were mostly concentrated in the outer regions of the Dutian Blood Beast world. Very few people would enter the inner regions. As for the depths of the Blood Beast world, that was where the real taboo was. This was because poison and blood spirits existed in the depths of the Blood Beast world all year round. Only those who had spiritual herbs or were extremely strong could enter. And those who had access to these spiritual herbs and paths were, to put it bluntly, only a few large organizations on the continent, a few powerful families, and even the core members of the royal family. Only they knew the true secret of the Dutian Blood Beast world. That was, the entire Dutian Blood Beast world was supported by a gigantic sky magic array. As for the origin of the Dutian Blood Beast world, there was a brief explanation in the history of the continent. Thousands of years ago, the human race and the Bakra orcs had fought a bloody war over the boundless continent. However, the history books only recorded part of the truth. Chapter 7:15. History was always in the hands of a few people. The 8 humans who possessed the 8 barren artifacts rose to power and eventually killed the leader of the Bakra orcs, the most powerful beast clan. They used their blood to draw the boundary of the Dutian Blood Beast world. All the beasts were either killed or injured. The remaining beasts were all banished into the Blood Beast world. They either died within the boundaries of the Blood Beast world, or some of them escaped the Blood Beast world and went to an unknown continent. From then on, the boundless world gradually settled down. The humans lived in peace and prosperity. The 5 major countries rose to power and the civil forces in the mainland were equally divided. Thousands of years passed in the blink of an eye. It was not until 500 years ago that the first beast blood cloud floated out of the heavenly beast blood world. The appearance of the beast blood cloud and the hatching of the blood cloud beasts made the humans realize that the beasts, especially the descendants of the Bakra orcs, might very well go extinct. However, the mainland then was different from the mainland a few thousand years ago. The 8 barren artifacts had passed away for many years. Even the artifacts they used to kill the 8 leaders of the beasts were lost. If the beasts rose again, the boundless world would be vulnerable. Out of desperation, the monarchs of the 5 major countries and the emperor of the East capital, as well as the major organizations in the mainland, including the Dharma Temple, the Zao State, the Elite Camp, and the Hunters Guild, selected the most powerful individuals. These powerful individuals practiced an open part of the seal of the Dutian blood beast world. They entered the Dutian blood beast world. On one hand, they killed the blood cloud beasts and newborn beast blood clouds in the Dutian blood beast world. On the other hand, they sent people to patrol the Dutian blood seal from time to time. Once they discovered any abnormalities in the Dutian blood seal, they would report it immediately. Even though the beast race had already disappeared for many years, rumors about the remnants of the beast race, especially the rise of the beast race in the Eight Wastelands, that they would one day invade the boundless world again had always been spreading in the continent. However, as long as the Dutian blood seal was not broken, the boundless world would be safe. The Dutian blood seal was the greatest secret of the boundless world. Thousands of years ago, 8 peerless powerhouses who possessed the 8 barren divine artifacts killed many beast clan leaders and used their blood to draw a huge magic array. That magic array was also the magic array that separated the humans of the boundless continent from the large number of beasts, including the exiled Bakra orcs. Because it was drawn with fresh blood, this magic circle was also known as the Dutian blood seal. It was also because of the existence of the powerful Dutian blood mark that the magical beasts were unable to invade the boundless continent. Once they got close, they would be wiped out by the powerful mana emitted by the blood mark. For many years, the remnants of the Bakra orcs had tried to break into the Dutian bloodline, but to no avail. Therefore, the Dutian blood beast world could be called the last line of defense for the beasts. For so many years, the blood seal had been normal. However, the beast riot in Skywing City this time made the Great Elder feel uneasy. 2 king-level magical beasts and many commander-level magical beasts had appeared in Skywing City at the same time. If there was no mastermind behind the scenes, this beast riot would not have happened. The beast riot in Skywing City seemed to have been resolved, but the Great Elder had a feeling that an even greater crisis was about to erupt. If Elder Hellion was not wrong, the sky magic array of Skywing City was probably an imitation of the Dutian blood seal. The Heavenly Winged Supremacy was a powerhouse who had risen in recent decades. He had outstanding strength and courage. He should have entered the Dutian blood beast world and broken the agreement between a few large organizations and a few large countries back then. He entered the depths of the blood beast world and saw the Dutian blood seal. This person was really bold. He actually copied the Dutian blood seal and built a sky magic array to support Skywing City. The magical beasts must have realized this as well, so they took the risk and gathered a group of powerful magical beasts to steal the magic array. If the magical beast plan succeeded and they obtained the array, the next step would be to invade the Dutian blood beast world in large numbers and destroy the Dutian blood seal. It was likely that Skywing Venerable had thought of this after the incident, which was why he had left Skywing City. His goal was to avoid being questioned by the bosses of other organizations and forces. Elder brother, should we inform the temple or the Zao state about this? A few elders broke out in cold sweat. Humph, do you think those old fellows don't know? At this moment, the temple and the Zao state, including the Hunters Guild, should have already received the news. The continent has been peaceful for thousands of years. The darkness before dawn is about to arrive. What we can do is to let our students grow as quickly as possible before the crisis of the Dutian blood beast world erupts. We also have to speed up the search for the 8 barren artifacts. The Great Elder stroked his beard with a deep gaze. According to Elder Brother, won't it be very dangerous for our students to enter the Dutian blood beast world in the future? A few elders discussed. Dangerous? Do you want them to be like flowers in a greenhouse? It's because of your thinking that there are no more 8 barren artifacts on the continent. The Great Elder glared at them. Almost at the same time in the temple of the continent, Xiao Wenshu was meditating in his room when he suddenly opened his eyes. Since you're here, please show yourself. Young Master Siming, sorry to disturb you. Yun Songhai instantly appeared in front of Xiao Wenshu. Yun Songhai. Xiao Wenshu felt an unfamiliar magical wave in the room. However, this magical wave did not come from Air E, so he did not call for anyone. Yun Songhai was a little surprised. He had snuck into the temple to ask about the magic crystal. He had heard that the young Master Siming had a good memory and was famous for his good temper. That was why he had found Xiao Wenshu. He did not expect to be discovered by Xiao Wenshu as soon as he snuck in. The young man in front of him, who looked as warm as the sun, was indeed frighteningly powerful. However, what surprised Yun Songhai was that Xiao Wenxiu had recognized him at a glance. If his memory was correct, he had never seen Xiao Wenxiu before. When Yun Songhai was young, he was known as the #1 magical genius in Zhou State. He had been famous for a long time, but at that time Xiao Wenxiu was still an infant. By the time Xiao Wenxiu became famous, Yun Songhai had already become a drunkard in Banana Leaf Village. The two of them should have never met before. I know Yun Sheng. You met her once when she was 6 years old. That was 8 years ago. Seeing Yun Songhai's surprised expression, Xiao Wenxiu smiled and roughly told him what had happened that year. Yun Songhai's poison had really been cured by Yun Sheng. In that case, young Master Siming can be considered our savior. Yun Songhai hurriedly cupped his hands in thanks. Yun Songhai only remembered after that. At that time, he had been poisoned and had fought with the blood cloud beast, falling into a coma. If it had not been for someone's help at that time, he and his daughter would not have been able to reach the Jade Capital alive. Yun Songhai noticed that when he mentioned his daughter, Xiao Wenxiu's eyes lit up slightly. The smile on his face also softened. Chapter 7:16. Although he tried his best to conceal it, just now Xiao Wenxiu still couldn't help but glance a few times behind Yun Songhai. His eyes gradually darkened when he didn't see Yun Sheng, but he managed to hide his disappointment. Yun Songhai was an experienced person, so he saw Xiao Wenxiu's abnormal behavior clearly. Could it be that he felt something for his daughter? Yun Songhai felt proud when he thought of his daughter. That's right, my daughter is beautiful, obedient, and smart. No wonder Xia Ximing likes her. Speaking of his daughter's marriage, Yun Songhai didn't approve of Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming's marriage. But his daughter was growing up and was already 14 years old. At this age, she should have been engaged long ago. But because he was in a coma many years ago, Yun Sheng somehow got engaged to Lord Baiming. Yun Songhai couldn't help but look at Xiao Wenxiu a few more times. Then he compared Xiao Wenxiu to Yi Baiming. In terms of appearance, Xiao Wenxiu and Yi Baiming were neck and neck. Even someone as picky as Yun Songhai couldn't put his finger on it. In terms of appearance and temperament, Xiao Wenxiu was like a round pearl, bright and unparalleled. Yi Baiming, on the other hand, was like a black diamond, hidden and eye-catching. But in terms of temperament, Xiao Wenxiu had been famous for many years, but he was only 17 or 18 years old. His face was like the full moon, and he was dressed in white. He always had the warmest smile on his face. Thinking back to that day, Yi Baiming in the Sea of Clouds, Yun Songhai immediately gave Xiao Wenxiu a lot of points in his heart. Yun Songhai thought that his daughter wanted to find a man who doted on her and spoiled her. The Xiao Wenxiu in front of him looked like a considerate and good man. Moreover, Xiao Wenxiu was the young arbiter of life of the Dharma Temple. He was clean and honest, and there had never been any bad rumors about him. But Yi Baiming was different. He was a man who had been engaged before. This man had a marriage contract, but it was a worn-out shoe. Moreover, his daughter had always been bullied by that brat when she was young. Now that she had grown up, he was afraid that she would be completely under his control. It was better not to provoke this kind of man. How could Xiao Wenxiu know that with just a glance? Yun Songhai naturally categorized him as one of the potential son-in-law candidates. Shenger went to study at the magic elite camp on the mainland and didn't come. This time I'm here to look for young Master Ximing. I want to ask about the origin of a type of magic crystal. Yun Songhai looked at his son-in-law, but he still remembered the purpose of his visit today. After he left the Cloud Sea, he searched for Hu Jiuxing, but he still couldn't find her. Moreover, even if he found Hu Jiuxing now, she would not recognize him since she had not recovered her memories. Speaking of magic crystals, he had to mention the magic temple. There were many types of magic crystals on the mainland. There were magic testing crystals, evil warding crystals, illuminating crystals, and other kinds of crystals. Most of these crystals came from the magic temple on the mainland. Since the other party was Yun Sheng's father, Xiao Wenxiu would naturally help him. Magic crystals? Uncle, ask away. If I know, I won't hide anything from you. Xiao Wenxiu took a schematic diagram from Yun Songhai. This diagram was drawn by Yun Songhai based on the memories of the magic crystal in the fifth summoner's hand that day. Xiao Wenshu carefully looked at the crystal's structure and combined it with Yun Songhai's description. After a while, he replied with certainty, "This crystal should be a heart crystal." Heart crystal? What kind of crystal is that? What are its specific effects? Does the magic temple have this kind of crystal? Yun Songhai hurriedly asked when he heard this. He asked a few questions in a row before he realized that he had been rude. After all, the other party was his junior and this was the first time they had met. However, Xiao Wenshu smiled slightly. He couldn't help but recall the first time he met Yun Shang. This father and daughter pair had similar temperaments. It's hard to explain the heart crystal in a few words. Uncle, you should have heard of the heart lamp, right? Xiao Wenshu could tell that Yun Songhai was very anxious. Of course, Yun Songhai had heard of the heart lamp. It was one of the famous 8 barren divine weapons on the mainland. Didn't the heart lamp disappear a long time ago? Could it be that the heart crystal is related to the heart lamp? Yun Songhai was suspicious. Most magic crystals can only be used after a certain amount of magic power is stored in the crystal. The heart crystal is different from ordinary magic crystals because it stores the light of the heart lamp. Xiao Wenshu had never seen the heart lamp before. However, according to what he knew, the heart lamp belonged to a powerful summoner before it disappeared. The 8 barren divine weapons were the 8 most powerful weapons and magic weapons on the mainland. Their powers and effects were different, and they belonged to 8 peerless masters. However, thousands of years ago, after the Duqian Blood Beast world was established, the mainland regained peace. The 8 masters died one after another, and the 8 divine weapons were lost among the people. The heart lamp was different from the auxiliary magic bracelet and the offensive halberd of the god of war. It should be an illusion magic weapon. It was said that the light of the heart lamp had a strong power of confusion. It could even control the thoughts of humans and beasts. The summoner who owned the heart lamp could control thousands of beasts because of the heart lamp. His strength was comparable to the first pope who owned the magic bracelet. After the death of the heart lamp's owner, the heart lamp was once owned by the king of Penglai. A court magician discovered it by chance and the heart crystal was made. The first batch of heart crystals was used for medical treatment. Patients who wore the heart crystal could sleep better and give birth better. They could even undergo some surgery. However, there were pros and cons in everything. The heart crystal was accidentally discovered by a few dark magicians. They used the heart crystal to do many bad things. In some cases, they even used it to rape and plunder for personal gain. About 300 years ago, the heart crystal was banned from large-scale use by the Dharma temple. It was also at that time that the heart crystal and the heart lamp disappeared. Uncle, where did you find the heart crystal? Xiao Wenshu's expression was serious. Someone actually dared to go against the Dharma temple's order and misuse the heart crystal again. I saw it by chance. I'm not sure if it's the heart crystal. Oh right, young Master Ming. Is there a way to break the effects of the heart crystal? After Yun Songhai understood the origin of the heart crystal, he also understood that his wife, Hu Jiusheng, must have had the heart crystal used on her. That depends on the person using the heart crystal. Generally speaking, the stronger the magic power of the person using the heart crystal, the harder it is to break the effects of the heart crystal. Uncle Yun, did someone use a heart crystal on them? Xiao Wenshu was observant. He noticed Yun Songhai's expression, and only then did it abruptly change. The Dharma temple had already banned the use of the heart crystal. However, the other party still dared to use the heart crystal on Hu Jiusheng. Moreover, Hu Jiusheng was now the 9th summoner of the Zhao state. Yun Songhai already knew who would use the heart crystal on her. Chapter 717. In the continent, only the Emperor Zhao in red would dare to go against the Dharma temple and attack the heart crystal. The Emperor Zhao in red's strength was unfathomable, and Yun Songhai wasn't his match at all. Needless to say, the Zhao state was filled with experts, and it was very difficult for Yun Songhai to get close to the Emperor Zhao in red. Is there no other way to save the person who has been attacked by the heart crystal? Yun Songhai didn't give up and continued to ask. There is another way, and that is to find the heart distress lantern. However, this method isn't really a method. Xiao Wenshu saw that Yun Songhai's expression changed a lot as he spoke, and he knew that Yun Songhai had something that he couldn't say. Xiao Wenshu didn't ask anymore. Thank you for your answer, young Master Ming. I still have things to do, so I will take my leave first. After understanding the origin of the heart crystal, Yun Songhai left in a hurry. After Yun Songhai left, Xiao Wenxu stood up, and after a while he took out a crystal. Looking at the crystal in his hand, Xiao Wenshu's expression became serious, and he sighed softly. Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger returned to their residence. The dark gold instructor didn't come to welcome her students like the other instructors, but the two of them were already used to the cold personality of the dark gold instructor. The two of them returned to the straw hut, and just as they entered, they saw Keling blocking the entrance. Senior sister, move aside. After Dong Huanglinger saw through Keling's true colors, she was very disgusted with her. What? You became arrogant just because you received the praise of the Elder Council? Keling decided to shed all pretense of cordiality and revealed her true colors. After knowing that Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger were lucky enough to receive the title of Fighting King, Keling was jealous and hateful. The Heaven's Wings arena is only SOSO. The two of you don't seem to have made any progress in your cultivation, Keling said sarcastically. Keling, let them in. The dark gold instructor walked out. When she saw Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger, a trace of gratification flashed past her usually expressionless face. A year's worth of training in Skywing City had allowed her two disciples to be reborn. Keling might not be able to see it, but the dark gold rank teacher was able to see the difference between Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger. Although the two people from before were also talented, due to their birth, they were like delicate flowers growing in a greenhouse, unable to experience the true baptism of dark magic. However, after surviving in Skywing City for a year, especially under Elder Hulian's policy of free range, the two of them had no choice but to seek survival in the continent's most elite arena for the sake of their livelihood. Everything had changed. Their eyes became even more resolute. Although the two of them had already safely returned to the elite camp, their positions, including their footsteps, were still the same as they had been in the Skywings arena, with one person in front and one at the back, maintaining absolute vigilance. Even if Keling did something, it would be difficult for her to harm them. Their growth was not only in terms of appearance or cultivation, but also in terms of spirit. They had become completely stronger. The dark gold rank teacher was sure that if Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger were to be surrounded by other female students, they would definitely not be in such a sorry state. They would definitely be like the sharpest claws, tearing apart the throats of those female magicians. Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger also understood something from the dark gold rank teacher's eyes. The two of them said in unison, "Teacher, we're back." Good. You've done well this time. You're finally qualified to learn my magic. The dark gold rank teacher nodded. Keling's eyes were about to pop out. Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger were delighted. After waiting for 2 years, they finally had the opportunity to learn dark magic. However, in the next moment, the dark gold rank teacher said something that made Yun Shang and Dong Huanglinger very confused. However, I'm afraid the matter of learning magic will have to come to an end. Linger, I'm afraid you'll have to make a trip back home. The dark gold rank teacher said meaningfully. She took out a letter and handed it over to Dong Huanglinger. The letter was written by Empress Dowager Situ's maid. It said that Empress Dowager Situ was seriously ill and wanted Dong Huanglinger to make a trip back to the eastern capital. After reading the letter, Dong Huanglinger's expression changed. Mother is seriously ill. I have to rush back to the eastern capital immediately. Dong Huanglinger's father died early. Since young, she was brought up by Empress Dowager Situ. After coming to the mainland's magic elite camp, she didn't return to the eastern capital for 2 years. She missed her mother and brother very much. However, she didn't expect that her mother, who was always in the prime of her life, would suddenly become seriously ill. Dong Huanglinger kept feeling that something was wrong. However, she couldn't tell what it was at that moment. The letter was written by Empress Dowager Situ herself. Seriously ill? What kind of illness does she have? Ling why don't I accompany you back to the eastern capital? I should be able to help. Yun Shang could tell that Dong Huanglinger was very anxious. There's no need. There are imperial physicians in the eastern capital. I think that mother must have missed me. That's why she became ill. Her body wasn't very good to begin with. When Dong Huanglinger mentioned her mother, her face was filled with guilt. Including the year she spent in the training, she hadn't returned to the eastern capital for 2 years. In half a month's time, it would be her mother's 40th birthday. Chen Lian originally planned to return to the eastern capital as soon as possible after returning from Skywing City. However, Dong Huangling originally wanted to invite Yun Shang to go to the eastern capital with her. However, after returning, Yun Shang would be able to practice high-level magic and enter the Dutian blood beast world to cultivate. If she were to go to the eastern capital, she would miss this opportunity. Thus, Dong Huangling could only change her original plan and give up on inviting Yun Shang. After packing her luggage, Dong Huangling quickly bid farewell to Yun Shang and returned to the eastern capital by herself. On the second day after Dong Huangling left, Yun Shang woke up early in the morning. The dark gold rank teacher told Yun Shang that she could head over to the Great Elder's place to receive a chance to learn high-level magic. Yun Shang followed her teacher's instructions and went to the Great Elder's residence. Even though he had been in the Mage Elite camp for nearly 3 years, he still couldn't make it. However, as she was busy participating in the closed-door training of the dark gold-ranked instructor, and went out to participate in the trial in the 3rd year, Yun Shang was not very clear about where the Great Elder lived. It wasn't until they arrived at the Great Elder's residence that Yun Shang discovered that the Great Elder actually lived in a forest behind the Magic Elite camp. There Yun Shang met Gu Feng, Feng Tianqi and Chen Lianer. The 5 of them were also the 5 students who had broken through to become Sky Mages before the end of the last training in Skywing City. When they saw Yun Shang, Chen Lianer's expression didn't look good. Feng Tian still had a poker face. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Yun Shang's opportunity. Chapter 718. The Great Elder is here to teach us magic? Yun Shang looked around and felt that the Great Elder's living quarters were even more shabby than the Dark Gold Mentors. Humph, it's still unknown whether or not you can learn it, Chen Lianer said coldly from the side. Chen Lianer had always felt that Yun Shang was not qualified to learn high-level magic. Even her title of Combat King this time was inexplicable. Perhaps it was because of her good relationship with the Heaven's Wing Jade that she obtained it through unorthodox means. Chen Lianer, how can you speak like that? Yun Shang is a 2-star student. If she is not qualified, do you think you are? Gu Feng could not stand it when he heard that his good friend was being bullied. Yun Shang's star indicator level had also risen from the initial 1-star student to the same level as Feng Tian, a 2-star student. Star indicator students had a much higher status than veteran students. It was said that star indicator students even had some privileges in certain special occasions. Chen Lianer still wanted to throw a tantrum, but she noticed that Feng Tian was frowning. She was secretly delighted. Looks like I'm not the only one who is unhappy with Yun Shang. Let's not argue with her for now. Let's wait and see. You're all here. The Great Elder appeared. He looked at the 5 students present and nodded with satisfaction. These 5 people could be considered the most outstanding disciples in the mainland Magic Elite camp in recent years. You have all seen the magic forest behind me. Today, whether or not you will be able to learn advanced magic will depend on your strength and luck. The Great Elder pointed at the forest not far away. Magic Forest? There was such a place in the mainland Magic Elite camp? Yun Shang was stunned when she heard this completely unfamiliar word. Learning high-level magic required entering the forest? It was no wonder that Yun Shang had such a reaction. Before coming to the Magic Forest, Yun Shang had always thought that learning magic was either taught orally or through magic scrolls. There were only a few ways to learn magic on the mainland. Generally speaking, beginner magic was mostly taught orally by elders or mages in the temple. Once a person reached the intermediate level, they would usually purchase magic scrolls by themselves or be gifted to them by their elders. Yun Shang's intermediate magic was something she had comprehended on her own. She had also learned a few from the magic scrolls given to her by Mary. It was only today that Yun Shang found out that the high-level magic of the continent's Magic Elite camp was not recorded on magic scrolls. Magic scrolls were easy to be stolen and destroyed. Therefore, the high-level magic of the continent's Magic Elite camp was stored on the magic tree in the form of magic fruits. Different magic attributes would result in different magic trees. When the Great Elder led everyone to the Magic Forest, he explained the history of the Magic Forest to everyone. The magic forest was created by a wood magician who had studied in the magic elite camp. This wood-type mage had originally been a magic scroll craftsman. However, he discovered that if he used magic scrolls to record spells, over time, the magic scrolls would rot, and the spells might be lost. After a period of research, the wood mage discovered that he could store magic in the form of magic fruits on plants. In this way, as long as the plants did not die, the magic would continue to exist. The first magic tree was planted at that time. After the magic forest was created, the wood-type mage established an unwritten rule. Any student who had studied in the continent's magic elite camp and broke through to become a sky magician must enter the magic forest before they passed away and plant a magic tree, leaving behind the magic they were most proud of. Although it was said to be planting, it was actually to store their life's magic in the form of magic power, and in the form of an immortal plant in the magic forest. The students who entered the magic forest had to be at least a sky magician. In this way, the continent's magic elite camp could obtain the best magic inheritance for many years and establish themselves as first-class magicians on the continent. This rule had been passed down in its entirety. Even some of the magicians who had left the magic elite camp early on would eventually return to the magic forest and leave behind one or two types of magic or even more. The magic forest was also the only forest on the continent that stored magic in the form of plants. There were many magic trees in the forest. These magic trees looked no different from ordinary trees in appearance, but the magic fruits on each tree were very different. The magic fruits on the same magic tree could belong to the same magician, or they could belong to different magicians. Every time a student obtained a major achievement, they would be allowed to enter the magic forest. However, students of different magic realms were allowed to enter the magic forest in different areas. The enchanted forest differed according to the different magic realms, and the depth that the students could go into was also different. They were divided into the Sky Tree region, the Holy Tree region, and the Emperor Tree region. Just from the names of the areas, one could tell that the students or instructors who could enter these three areas had to be at least a sky magician, a saint-level law emperor, and a law overlord. The height of the trees in different areas was different. The trees in the Sky Tree area were generally around 100 meters tall, while the Holy Tree area was over 500 meters tall. As for the Emperor Tree area, which was located at the very center, the trees were so tall that even the Great Elder could not tell their exact height. In the continent's magic elite camp, only the top 10 magicians who had broken through to the saint-level law emperor could enter the Emperor Tree area and obtain the super magic fruit. For example, the Great Elder's favorite student, Blue, and the number 1 magician Lu Tongtian had both entered the Emperor Tree area. Everyone knew that for mages under the same level of magic, the mage who knew more advanced magic had a higher chance of winning. Therefore, learning advanced spells and super spells was especially important. Yun Sheng realized that the strength of the continent's magic elite camp was far beyond her imagination. She thought to herself that she had to think of a way to become a sky magician as soon as possible. If the continent's magic elite camp has the magic forest, then what about the continent's warrior elite camp? Gu Feng asked curiously. They have the tomb of martial emperors. I believe that the warrior elites who broke through during this trial should have already entered the tomb of martial emperors. It's not just the continent's elite camp. In fact, in the continent, first-rate organizations and forces, and even aristocratic families, have their own special inheritance grounds. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for them to remain standing for so many years. The Great Elder replied, "The strong would survive, and the weak would be eliminated." This was the unchanging law of the continent. Chapter 719. This was the case for both the elite magician camp and the elite warrior camp. In the tomb of the martial emperor, there were a large number of battle energy steels left behind by the previous martial emperors of the elite warrior camp before they passed away. The martial emperor students who had accumulated a certain amount of battle merits also had the opportunity to enter the tomb of the martial emperor, to choose a suitable battle energy steel, and learn the corresponding battle techniques. Entering the magic forest or the tomb of the martial emperor meant that these students had become the core members of the elite warrior camp. In the future, they would have more opportunities than other students in their daily training and missions. As they spoke, they arrived at the entrance of the magic forest. The Great Elder looked proudly at the lush magic forest in front of him. Before Yun Shang stepped into the magic array, the Great Elder stopped her again. Yun Shang, you have the lowest cultivation level among all the students who entered the magic forest. I will give you some personal advice. Choose the magic that is most beneficial to your current cultivation level. What the Great Elder meant was that it would be best for Yun Shang to make a move on dark magic. Yun Shang could enter the magic forest, but she was an exception. Under normal circumstances, the Great Elder did not approve of students who were only holy magicians entering the Sky Tree area. However, since Elder Hellion had already made a promise, and Yun Shang's performance in this trial was exceptionally outstanding, Elder Hellion thought to himself, the Great Elder cherished talent, so he agreed to let Yun Shang enter the magic forest to collect magic fruits. Thank you, Great Elder. Yun Shang knew that the Great Elder meant well, but she was determined to succeed in this trip to the magic forest. The magic forest was a very special place in the elite warrior camp. In the past hundreds of years, countless teachers and elders had planted the magic tree and stored the high-level magic that they were most proud of in the magic forest. Only the most outstanding students had the opportunity to enter the magic forest. According to the Great Elder, there were even some long-lost magic in the magic forest. However, whether the students could successfully collect the magic fruits depended on their own luck and strength. When Yun Shang woke up earlier, she thought that she was already very familiar with the entire continent's magic elite camp. It wasn't until this magic study that she realized that she had only been involved in a very small part of the continent's magic elite camp. Behind the magic elite battalion, there was a vast sea of trees and forests. It was only because this forest was a restricted area of the continent's magic elite camp that ordinary students would not have the opportunity to enter the magic forest. The same type of high-level magic would be able to play an unexpected role, whether it was fighting against a powerful opponent or participating in the trial in the Dutian Blood Beast world in the future. Chun Lianer's beautiful eyes also flashed as she stared at the enchanted forest. Yun Shang and Feng Tian only felt a gust of wind whistling in their ears. When their feet touched the ground again, they were already in the enchanted forest. They breathed in the air that was similar to that of a primitive forest. The fresh smell of leaves and the smell of rotting old leaves filled their nostrils. Feng Tian, who was beside them, did not say a word as he looked around. 1.5 hours. They had to find a suitable high-level magic and comprehend it. Time was tight. Yun Shang found that the enchanted forest was much larger than she had expected. In the Sky Tree area, most of the trees were about 100 meters tall. Due to the existence of the magic fog that was unique to the enchanted forest, one's vision was greatly limited. Yun Shang could only see things within 500 meters at most. In the enchanted forest, the trees were of different heights, and there were all kinds of precious trees and herbs. Before entering the enchanted forest, one could freely look for enchanted trees and collect enchanted fruits. Whether it was Yun Shang or Feng Tian, they knew that since they had entered the enchanted forest, it was best to find a suitable secondary high-level magic. After all, nature magic was too common. In comparison, secondary high-level magic was much rarer. Yun Shang stood at the entrance. She pondered for a moment and looked at a tall tree beside her. With a few steps she climbed up the tree. Feng Tian snorted when he saw this. Due to the existence of the magic fog, it was difficult to find the exact location of the enchanted tree, even if one climbed up. He would not waste time on pointless climbing. Feng Tian immediately cast a wind magic and entered the forest. Chapter 720. Seeing that Feng Tian had gone far away, Yun Shang revealed a meaningful smile. In a few breaths, she had already flown to a large tree about 50 to 60 meters tall. After climbing up the tree, Yun Shang did not look around. She just closed her eyes. She could not see with her eyes, but her Dharma soul would definitely help her find the most suitable location for the magic tree. Combined with celestial meditation, the surrounding fog disappeared from her eyes. The huge magic forest and countless trees disappeared in a trance. Yun Shang tried hard to find the most suitable magic tree for her. Time passed by minute by minute. At this time in the magic forest, Feng Tian used his magic and searched all the way in the forest. The first thing he saw was the wind magic tree. It was a green magic book that looked like a willow tree. The green leaves symbolized the wind magic of the 4 major attributes. On the willow branches, There were olive-like wind magic fruits hanging. Feng Tian counted roughly. There were at least 10 wind magic fruits hanging on a wind magic tree. The 4 major nature magic mages were the most in the mainland. The corresponding magic fruits were also more. Wind magic was not of much use to him. Feng Tian did not stay for long. He immediately ran in the other direction of the forest. Wind, fire, earth, water. Yunshang used celestial meditation, and also found the location of the 4 major nature magic trees. However, she did not stop searching. After searching repeatedly, Yunshang's heart suddenly trembled. She found a magic tree that wasn't very tall, but it bore dark fruits. Dark magic tree. That's it. Yunshang was delighted and quickly opened her eyes. She immediately jumped down from the tree and rushed in the direction of the magic tree. Half an hour passed quickly. Feng Tian and Yunshang had not come out yet. The 3 of you can go in. The Great Elder sent Gu Feng, Qi, and Chen Lianer into the magic array. As soon as they entered the magic forest, the first reaction of the 3 was that they were dizzy. The magic forest was huge and the temperature was very low. The worst thing was that there were no so-called road signs or landmark buildings. All the trees and paths were the same. No wonder there was no news of Yunshang and Feng Tian after half an hour. Qi, I'm going to find the light magic tree. Be careful. Gu Feng's target long ago was the light magic tree. Qi nodded. He also chose a path and immediately ran in a certain direction. Chen Lianer waited until everyone had left. Only then did he unhurriedly take out the worn-out bracelet. Chen Lianer had long discovered that the bracelet's ability to distinguish magic. As long as she wore this bracelet, her sensitivity to magic elements. Sure enough, as soon as she put on the bracelet, Chen Lianer felt a strong wave of wind magic coming from the northeast direction of the forest. Chen Lianer was a wind magician. Her goal this time was to cast advanced wind magic. Chen Lianer sprinted all the way, and a green magic tree covered in wind magic leaves appeared in front of her. Great! I just need to pick a magic fruit to harvest. Chen Lianer did not expect it to be so easy to find magic fruits. She walked to the front of the wind magic tree and carefully observed the 10 magic fruits. These olive-shaped magic fruits didn't look any different in appearance, and it was difficult to find out what kind of magic was hidden in them with spiritual sense. Before entering the magic forest, Teacher Xiao had told Chen Lianer that there was a trick to harvesting magic fruits. Generally speaking, the magic fruits that grew at the top of the magic tree often meant more powerful magic. She only had one chance to choose. She had to choose the most suitable magic fruit. In the end, Chen Lianer chose the magic fruit that grew at the top. After Chen Lianer chose the magic fruit, a pair of green magic wings grew out of her back. She was like a butterfly, shuttling between the wind magic trees. Chen Lianer had already touched the magic fruit. The moment she picked it, a bolt of lightning struck her. Chen Lianer was startled by a bolt of lightning. She hurriedly dodged, and the magic fruit in her hand accidentally fell to the ground. The magic fruit disappeared as soon as it landed. Chen Lianer took a closer look and found that Feng Tian was holding a magic scepter in his hand. The scepter flickered with magic light. Feng Tian, what are you doing? Chen Lianer was furious. Chen Lianer, I haven't avenged you for scheming against me last time. Don't even think about getting a magic fruit today. Feng Tian had already learned a high-level magic in half an hour. He did not leave because he wanted to settle the score with Chen Lianer. During the Skywing City trial, Feng Tian hated 2 people the most. One was Yi Baiming, who had defeated him. The other was Chen Lianer. Compared to Yi Baiming, Chen Lianer, who had humiliated him, deserved to die. However, the magic elite camp of the continent was not allowed to kill fellow disciples, so Feng Tian had not done anything. Until this time, when Chen Lianer came to pick the high-level magic fruit, Feng Tian finally made a move. Feng Tian, others may be afraid of you, but I'm not. Chen Lianer had the magic bracelet in her hand, so she did not have much fear of Feng Tian. In a fit of anger, the 2 of them actually started fighting in the magic forest. On the other side, Yunshang had already run across more than half of the Sky District. Just the Sky Tree District was so big. Even with the help of wind magic, Yunshang was exhausted. Along the way, Yunshang also saw many magic trees. In addition to the 4 natural attributes, there were also some trees whose leaves were very strange in color. Those were secondary attributes such as thunder, ice, and so on. The leaves of an ice magic tree grew like a pine tree covered in snow. Finally, Yunsheng stopped. She felt the aura of the dark magic tree that she had discovered during her celestial meditation. Compared to the colorful magic tree she had seen along the way, this dark magic tree's appearance was really not very good. Most of the trees in the magic forest were like northern trees, tall and straight, about 100 meters tall. This tree was different. It looked like it was burnt. The height of the tree was half a head shorter than Yunsheng, and only a few clusters of leaves grew on it. As for the magic fruits, there were only 2 of them. But one thing was for sure. This was a dark magic tree, and the magic fruits on it must also contain high-level dark magic. Teacher said that when looking for magic fruits, try to choose magic fruits that grow in high places. Yunsheng looked and chose a slightly taller one. She could pick that magic fruit with a raise of her hand. Bo, my dear master, don't pick that one. Pick the one next to your feet. Just as Yunsheng's hand was about to touch that magic fruit, the puffed egg in the beast language ring suddenly warned. Chapter 721. The puffed egg had been very active recently, but it was the first time that it directly reminded her like this. However, there was no magic tree at her feet. Yunsheng felt strange and looked at her feet. Only then did she realize that there was actually a gray mushroom? The corner of Yunsheng's mouth twitched. The puffed egg, did it want her to pick this thing? This mushroom didn't have any magic waves around it. It was no more than the height of a thumb and looked inconspicuous. Yunsheng had just run over and stepped on more than a dozen kinds of mushrooms along the way. Dear master, trust me, you can't go wrong. This forest is not bad. Release the puffed egg and play with it. The puffed egg tried to persuade her. Yunsheng released the puffed egg and looked at the mushroom at her feet carefully. Yunsheng hesitated and looked at the magic fruit of darkness again. In the end, she decided to believe the puffed egg and picked the gray mushroom. When Yunsheng picked the mushroom, a strange magic suddenly appeared in her mind. Congratulations! You have learned the forbidden magic space-time prohibition. Forbidden magic? Yunsheng almost didn't hesitate immediately, and waved the magic scepter in her hand. A leaf that was about to fall suddenly stopped in mid-air. It took about 3 seconds for the leaf to fall to the ground. This is Yunsheng shivered. She remembered that she had seen this magic before. Last time in the Immortal Ju Nation when she first met her mother, Hu Jiuxing, at the last moment, her mother used this magic. However, the space-time prohibition used by Hu Jiuxing was not at the same level as the current rookie Yunsheng. The same space-time prohibition magic was used by Hu Jiuxing and made all the living creatures around at that time, including the terrifying blood dragon, stop moving. It was also that spell that saved Yunsheng from the fatal blow of the blood dragon. However, the space-time seal that Yunsheng had just learned was obviously much weaker. Obviously, this was because Yunsheng's magic realm was too low. Yunsheng sighed with emotion. She had unintentionally learned the same forbidden magic as her mother. After Yunsheng entered the continent's magic elite camp, she had systematically learned all kinds of magic concepts. In particular, the Dark Gold mentor had forced her and Ling to study all kinds of magic. Yunsheng had some impression of forbidden magic. Forbidden magic was a very rare type of magic on the continent. Its appearance went against the rules of the 4 elements of magic. It was not affiliated with any type of magic and was even rarer than secondary magic. This type of forbidden magic could temporarily stop time depending on the proficiency of the magic. Yunsheng had just learned this magic, which could temporarily stop time for about 3 seconds. 3 seconds sounded very short, but if used properly, such as when chanting magic, even if the enemy's chanting was delayed by 3 seconds, it could cause an unexpected and amazing effect. Yunsheng was still thinking about the specific use of space-time prohibition when she suddenly heard a crunching sound in her ears. Looking back, Yunsheng was completely dumbfounded. Puffed Egg had jumped to the side at some point. This guy's body was round, but it was very agile. Taking advantage of the time when Yunsheng was comprehending the magic, it had already swallowed a magic fruit on the dark magic tree into its stomach. At this moment it was eating happily. If Yunsheng hadn't stopped it in time, the 2 magic fruits would have been eaten by Puffed Egg. Puffed Egg. The crunching sound that Yunsheng heard just now was the sound of Puffed Egg eating the dark magic fruit. At this moment, It was secretly preparing to swallow the other magic fruit as well. You can't eat anymore. Your body can only bear the magic power of one magic fruit at most. Yunsheng almost died of anger at Puffed Egg. She shook the Puffed Egg desperately, trying to shake the magic fruit out of Puffed Egg's mouth. The Puffed Egg was dizzy from being shaken by its master and flapped its wings desperately. It jumped up and down and kept screaming, "Dear master, stop shaking me. Puff, puff, I'm going to throw up." With that, the Puffed Egg really did throw up. With a flash of magic light, a circle of dark hellfire was ignited on the ground. Within a radius of half a mile, all the plants were burned to the ground. Yunsheng was shocked. What was going on? She looked at the Puffed Egg again, which was touching its belly with a satisfied expression. Was that a high-level dark magic spell? Yunsheng was very familiar with her family's ability to screw her mother over. Ever since the Puffed Egg came out of the orc ring, it could eat and sleep, but it couldn't use magic. It only had 3 skills: one was crying, one was merging, and one was monstrous strength. With just these 3 skills, the only thing that could still be called a magical beast in the world was egg popping. This was the first time it used magic. Yunsheng almost burst into tears. "Puffed Egg, you've advanced and learned magic?" Yunsheng grabbed the Puffed Egg's wings and checked it up and down. "Puff, dear master, are you talking about the magic just now?" The Puffed Egg blinked. "Puff, after eating the magic fruit, I felt my stomach growling nonstop. When I opened my mouth, I used magic." Yunsheng was sweating profusely. She was sure that after the Puffed Egg ate a dark magic fruit, it activated the magic left behind by the previous generation of magicians. The magic fruit was originally preserved by the previous generation of magicians by sealing a part of their magic power in the fruit. The reason why the Great Elder allowed all the students to only pick and learn one magic fruit at a time was because for magicians of sky rank and below, the magic power of a high-level magic fruit required a large amount of magic power to digest. If they rashly absorbed 2 magic fruits, it would be easy for their magic soul to be devoured. But the Puffed Egg was different. It wasn't a human magician, and it had the strong constitution of a magical beast, so it didn't have to worry about being devoured by any magic soul. Moreover, after eating the magic fruit, Yunsheng discovered the 4th ability of the Puffed Egg, which was to eat the magic fruit and convert it into high-level magic. In this way, a magic fruit was like a magic tool that stored high-level magic. As long as the Puffed Egg ate it, it would be able to use high-level magic that could only be released by sky-rank magicians. When Yunsheng thought of this, she quickly came up with an idea. If she could find more magic fruits in the magic forest and store them, wouldn't it mean that she could let the Puffed Egg use high-level magic in the future when she met a strong enemy? In that case, wouldn't Egg Popping, who had always been a good-for-nothing, become a super magical beast that could use all kinds of high-level magic? Chapter 722. As for how to preserve the magic fruits, Yunsheng had already thought of a way. As long as the magic fruits were stored in the exquisite beast tower, which was full of spiritual energy, the fruits would not rot. Yunsheng had only used half an hour. In other words, she could still stay in the magic forest for another hour. Yunsheng immediately decided to release all the magical beasts from the orc speech ring and the exquisite beast tower. She let them collect the magic fruits in the magic forest and save them for the Puffed Egg. Anyway, the magic forest was so big that even if a few magic fruits were stolen, the Great Elder would not be able to find out. Listen, you can enter the magic forest and collect 1 or 2 magic fruits from each tree. Remember, come back and gather in an hour. Also, don't let anyone find you. After Yunsheng gave the order, the magical beasts scattered to look for suitable magic fruits. In the remaining hour, Yunsheng had nothing else to do. However, she did not intend to leave. Anyway, the magic forest was so big that she wanted to see how the others, especially Gufeng and Abandon, were looking for the magic fruits. Yunsheng had only taken a few steps when she found a tall light phoenix tree in front of her. This should be the tallest tree in the vicinity. At a glance, it was at least 100 meters tall. Under the phoenix tree, Gufeng stood with a crying face. The 2 of them stood under this tree and looked very small. "Gufeng, why are you here?" Yunsheng stepped forward. When Gufeng saw that it was Yunsheng, he revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. "Yunsheng, I'm afraid I can't get the magic fruits on the tree." Gufeng pointed to the phoenix tree. The magic forest was very big, but there were very few magic trees with light attributes. Gufeng also wasted more than half an hour to find such a light attribute magic tree. However, there was only one magic fruit on this tree. Moreover, this magic fruit was coincidentally growing at the top of the phoenix tree. Yunsheng observed carefully and soon found Gufeng's dilemma. The phoenix tree was a very special kind of tree. Its branches were very smooth, and ordinary people would not be afraid of going up. You can't even fly up? Yunsheng was referring to Gufeng's magic wings. After breaking through to become sky mages, even if they didn't use wind magic, they could still use magic wings to fly at high altitudes. I tried. This tree is too strange. Whenever someone gets close, it will shoot out light thorns. I can't get close at all. Gufeng rubbed his arm as he spoke. Yunsheng took a closer look and found that there were indeed many fine needle-like wounds on his arm. Yunsheng didn't believe it. She condensed her magic power and a pair of magic wings appeared on her back. She had just flown a few meters when countless light thorns exploded on the phoenix tree like a rainstorm. Yunsheng could only jump down in a flurry. There's no other way. I can't climb or fly. Seems like I have to give up. Gufeng wondered if he should find a magic fruit of other attributes. Wait. Yunsheng calmly took out 2 axes from her beast language ring. Yunsheng, you're not thinking of cutting down this tree, are you? Gufeng stuttered again. What else can I do? The great elder said that it's enough to pick the magic fruit. He didn't say that we can't cut down the tree. There's not much time left, hurry up. Yunsheng took the lead to cut down the tree without saying anything. Time passed minute by minute. Chun Lianer was still entangled with Feng Tian. Feng Tian, get lost. Chun Lianer was furious, but she couldn't beat Feng Tian. At this moment, a loud bang came from somewhere in the magic forest. Looking from afar, a magic tree fell. Feng Tian and Chun Lianer couldn't help but stop. Outside the magic forest, the great elder, who was waiting for the students to return, suddenly felt his eyelids twitch. He had a feeling that something bad was about to happen. When he heard the sound of the tree falling, the great elder jumped high and rushed into the magic forest anxiously. Gufeng Yunsheng, you actually cut down the tree. Chun Lianer took the opportunity to reprimand them. As soon as the great elder entered the forest, he saw the phoenix tree that had been cut down. Hearing the commotion, Chun Lianer and Feng Tian, who rushed over, also surrounded the tree. The great elder also stood at the side. He had brought so many students into the magic forest to pick magic fruits, but no one dared to directly cut down the tree. Not a single one. The phoenix tree of light was quickly cut down. After the tree was cut down, Yunsheng let Gufeng pick the magic fruit and immediately began to comprehend and absorb the magic fruit. Great elder Yunsheng cut down the phoenix tree. She must be severely punished. Chun Lianer calculated the time. She no longer had time to find her own magic fruit. She didn't obtain any high-level magic, but she would never let Yunsheng have it easy. The great elder looked meaningfully at the fallen phoenix tree. Yunsheng, tell me, why did you do that? This tree can't be climbed, so there's only one way to obtain the magic fruit, and that is to cut it down. It's just a tree. The way to conquer it is nothing more than climbing or cutting it down. If we can't solve such a simple problem, wouldn't it make us look like idiots? Yunsheng glanced at Chun Lianer from the corner of her eyes. After the latter was insulted, she was about to flare up, but the great elder waved his hand. You're right. People who enter the magic forest often think too simply of the magic fruit. This adds a lot of unnecessary trouble to themselves. The phoenix tree can't be climbed, but it can be cut down. 1 hour has passed. Let's leave the magic forest. Gufeng had also comprehended the new magic in the magic fruit. Everyone left the magic forest together. At the root of the phoenix tree that had been cut down, a bud quietly grew out. When they returned to the entrance of the magic forest, the great elder asked everyone about the results of their trip. Feng Tian learned the high-level earth magic Sand Helmet. It was a high-level magic that could use the earth magic element to form any form of armor. Its defensive power was amazing. Abandon learned the high-level wind magic Concealment. Using Concealment, Abandon and Little Qing could disappear for more than 15 minutes. It was an excellent magic for ambushes and lookouts. When it came to Gufeng, he paused. In fact, He hadn't fully comprehended his new magic. Time was tight just now, so he only absorbed the magic concept in the magic fruit. My magic has a strange name. It's called life burning. It seems to be a kind of auxiliary magic that can help strengthen the magic effect when I use other magic. But I probably won't use this magic. Anyway, it's still a high-level magic. If the dazzling light teachers know, they should be very happy, Gu Feng said embarrassedly. Yunsheng and Qi couldn't help but laugh. Gu Feng was afraid of pain and he was afraid of death. Burning his life force to increase the effectiveness of his spells wasn't something Gu Feng would do. This magic was a bit useless. Chapter 723. Chun Lianer didn't obtain any advanced magic. She glared fiercely at Feng Tian. Seeing that everyone had gained something and she was the only one who returned empty-handed, Chun Lianer's heart was bleeding. It was all Feng Tian's fault that she didn't get anything. First Elder, just now in the magic forest, Feng Tian deliberately obstructed me from collecting magic fruits. Chun Lianer was so angry that she directly complained to the First Elder. Is that true, Feng Tian? The First Elder reproached Feng Tian. First Elder, Feng Tian didn't deliberately obstruct me. It's just that I happen to fancy the same magic fruit as her. The elite camp didn't stipulate that we can't compete with our companions for the same magic fruit in the magic forest. It all depends on one's own ability. Feng Tian casually denied Chun Lianer's accusation. When the First Elder heard this, he couldn't find anything to say. Indeed, there would be some disputes in the magic forest. If one skill was inferior, they couldn't blame others for not being able to get the same magic fruit. Moreover, Chun Lianer and Feng Tian were now in a completely different position in the First Elder's heart. Chun Lianer's reputation was already in tatters. It was impossible for her to be so stupid as to disobey the First Elder. The First Elder was obviously more biased towards Feng Tian. Forget it. It's fine if you miss this opportunity. In the future, cultivate more and rely on your strength to obtain more. There will be plenty of opportunities. The First Elder casually dismissed Chun Lianer with a few words. Seeing the First Elder's perfunctory words, Chun Lianer was furious. Back then, the Elder's attitude towards her was much better than now. This time, even the teachers were much colder to her. On the other hand, Yunsheng's face was flushed with success. Just wait and see. One day, she would make these people regret it. In the end, only Yunsheng hadn't explained the magic she had learned. Seeing that the First Elder and the others were staring at her, Yunsheng hesitated, not knowing whether to confess or not. I learned a forbidden magic, time prohibition. The First Elder's expression suddenly changed. He cried out, "What did you say? You found a forbidden magic in the magic forest? Quickly tell me. Where did you discover this forbidden magic?" Seeing the wise and steady Great Elder lose his composure like this, the others were also surprised. In order to find out where Yunsheng found the forbidden spell, the Great Elder brought the 5 of them back to the magic forest. I was originally looking for the dark magic fruit nearby, but I didn't expect to step on a mushroom and somehow learn the forbidden spell. Yunsheng coughed twice. She had already thought of an excuse. It's actually a mushroom. This sigh, I really don't know what the ancestors were thinking. The Great Elder sighed. He told the other students that this forbidden magic was left behind by the founder of the continent's magic elite camp, who was known as the continent's legendary magician. The sorcerer of that era had another identity. He was the teacher of the first Dharma deity of the Dharma temple. Therefore, the former Lord Mage God also knew this forbidden magic. The Great Elder looked at Yunsheng as he spoke. Master Shernyan's spell had been left in the magic forest for many years. However, no one had been able to learn this forbidden magic. No one would have thought that Master Shinian would leave such a unique forbidden magic on a mushroom. At this thought, the Great Elder felt a headache coming on. Wow, Yunsheng. Doesn't that mean you learned a very powerful spell? It's even more powerful than a high-level spell. Gu Feng was envious. Wasn't it infuriating to compare oneself to others? Yunsheng's new spell was a unique spell that only the Dharma deity and the founder of the continent's magic elite camp knew. Unlike him, who just so happened to learn a life ignition spell that required one's life. Maybe it's because my cultivation level is too low. It seems like this spell isn't that powerful. Yun Shang was a little embarrassed. She couldn't possibly say that her space-time prohibition spell only lasted for a pitiful 3 seconds. No matter what, all of you have gained something from this high-level spell learning. Those who didn't learn any high-level spells don't have to be too sad. As long as you perform well in the blood purge, you can still enter the magic forest in the future. The Great Elder nodded in satisfaction. Just as they were about to leave, the Great Elder suddenly thought of something and looked at the dark magic tree behind him. Why is there not a single magic fruit? I remember that there should be 2 magic fruits on this tree, right? The Great Elder was puzzled. Although there were many magic trees in the magic forest, there were very few dark magic trees. The Great Elder remembered that he saw 2 magic fruits here the last time he was patrolling the forest. Why did the dark magic fruit disappear after a few years? This didn't seem right. Or was it because he was old and his memory was wrong? Great Elder, let's go out quickly. It's getting late. The Dark Gold Mentor is still waiting for my news. Yun Shang felt guilty and hurried the Great Elder to leave quickly. Everyone left the magic forest. After the Great Elder returned to his residence, he recorded the process of picking the magic fruits today in the magic forest log. When he wrote about Yun Shang's forbidden spell, the Great Elder's pen paused. Why was it Yun Shang? A sage sorcerer who was proficient in healing and fairy magic. Was it all a coincidence? Or could it be that Yun Shang's appearance had something to do with the impending catastrophe? The Great Elder didn't tell Yun Shang a long time ago that the time prohibition was actually a forbidden spell that could be continuously improved. The time prohibition was indeed invented and passed down by Lord Shernyan. However, it was in the hands of the first Lord Fazhen that it was really developed. Back then, after the first mage god learned this forbidden magic, with the help of the mage god's bracelet, after 10 years, he successfully improved the forbidden magic of time and space. He discovered a super forbidden magic that shocked the entire magic world of the continent, the reversal of time and space. The Lord Fazhen also used this terrifying spell to successfully kill the Bakra orcs. It was a pity that after the Lord Fazhen passed away, the Lord Fashion's bracelet was lost, and this heaven-defying forbidden spell was also lost. There was also a rumor in the magic world of the mainland that the first Lord Fazhen hid the secret of the super forbidden spell in the Lord Fashion's bracelet. Only someone who learned the time prohibition and obtained the Lord Fashion's bracelet at the same time could possibly understand and activate the super forbidden spell of the Lord Fazhen. I'm really old now. I'm starting to let my imagination run wild. The Lord Fashion's bracelet, one of the legendary artifacts of the world, has long been lost. Yun Shang is just a newly advanced sage sorcerer. How could she possibly understand such a profound spell? The Great Elder sighed and put down his pen. Whether or not she could make a breakthrough in the time prohibition spell, and finally understand a more profound spell would depend on Yun Shang's personal talent. Chapter 724. Chun Lianer walked to the tavern alone, ordered a pot of wine and started drinking. After drinking a few mouthfuls, a few shifty-looking magicians and warriors came up to her. Oh, isn't this junior sister Chun? Drinking alone here? Do you want us to accompany you for a few drinks? Chun Lianer was a beauty on the Sakura list. The elite camp students had been coveting her for a long time. It was just that before, Chun Lianer had the appearance of an ice beauty, and always had an unapproachable expression. However, it was different now. They heard that she had been played by the son of Skywing City, and the other party was married. In the eyes of these people, Chun Lianer's status naturally plummeted. Seeing her sitting at the table with a red face, all the perverts stared straight at her. Get lost, Chun Lianer said angrily. Hey, why are you still putting on airs? Chun Lianer, do you still think you're a beauty on the Sakura list? Everyone knows that you've been played by someone. Why are you still pretending to be innocent? Seeing that Chun Lianer was not giving them face, they all began to grope her. Chun Lianer was about to lose her temper and reach out to grab her magic scepter. However, the scepter had already been snatched away by someone. Those people surrounded Chun Lianer, laughing and cursing. The more Chun Lianer thought about it, the angrier she became. Stop! An angry shout came from the side. It was a bald, bare-chested magician. He did not have a magic scepter. His magic artifact was a necklace that looked like Buddha beads. However, upon closer inspection, the necklace was not made of ordinary pearls or strange stones. Instead, it was made of beast skulls of similar sizes. In the middle of these beast skulls, there was a soul stone inlaid. Furthermore, the bones of each skull were blood red in color. Only the skulls of blood cloud beasts were blood red in color. There were a total of 6 soul stones on this person's necklace, indicating that his cultivation had reached the level of a sanctuary-level guardian king. When those lechers saw this person, they all took a few steps back. That person also looked straight ahead and walked straight towards Chunliener. He came and went like the wind, disappearing without a trace in a short while. Lu Tongtian, it's Lu Tongtian. Lu Tongtian. Ranked first on the magic ranking of the continent's magic elite camp. Lu Tongtian looked at Chunliener with a complicated expression. He was the Shixiang who had always taken care of Chunliener. However, very few people in the mage elite camp knew about this. Lu Tongtian could be considered an anomaly in the continent's magic elite camp. He was originally an orphan with no family background. Lu Tongtian's original strength was also very ordinary. It was only through hard work that he was able to enter the continent's magic elite camp. Even so, in the first 5 years after he joined the magic elite camp, there was nothing special about him. But 3 or 4 years ago, after Lu Tongtian participated in a blood purge, he suddenly rose to prominence. In half a year's time he even surpassed Li Xiao and Azura, who were known as geniuses in the continent's magic elite camp. He relied on killing blood cloud beasts to ascend to the magic power rankings. This person was cruel and ruthless. Countless blood cloud beasts had fallen into his hands. Chunliener had also met Lu Tongtian during her first blood purge. Due to Lu Tongtian's humble background, his personality was somewhat twisted. He had always been temperamental. However, he fell in love with Chunliener at first sight. Not only did he save her, but he also took care of her. However, his looks were ordinary and he was even a little ugly. He was also short. Apart from his magic, tall, powerful and handsome appearance, he had nothing to do with anyone else. In addition to his ordinary background, Chunliener found him vulgar. She already had Yi Baiming in her heart. However, she thought that she could still use him, so she had always been indifferent to him. Lu Tongtian did not understand Chunliener's thoughts at all. He only wanted to please the beauty. He tried his best to please Chunliener. He did not even hesitate to lend her his greatest secret, the magic bracelet. However, Chunliener still did not appreciate it. After this trial in Skywings City, he had already heard about Chunliener. He had privately sought out Chunliener, but she was unwilling to return the bracelet and had been avoiding him. If not for today, Lu Tongtian would not have met Chunliener in the tavern. You people stay away from Liener in the future. She is mine. The necklace on Lu Tongtian's neck emitted a stinging red light. When Chunliener heard this, she did not feel happy. Instead, she felt somewhat disgusted. If the same words could come out of Yi Baiming's mouth, how good would that be? Unfortunately, the one who said these words was Lu Tongtian. Who was his woman? A toad lusting after a swan's flesh. Only then did the group of people realize that Lu Tongtian and Chunliener were involved. They were so scared that they ran away like bees. Chunliener suppressed the disgust in her heart. She lowered her head and called out, "Senior Lu." It had to be said that Chunliener was very good at acting. She hated Lu Tongtian very much, but on the surface she looked pitiful. She was already beautiful. With this appearance, at least 8 or 9 out of 10 men would be seduced by her. When Lu Tongtian saw this, his heart ached even more. He hurriedly pulled her to sit down and asked her about her well-being. "Liener, why didn't you come find me when you came back?" He took the opportunity to grab Chunliener's hand. Feeling the smoothness of her hand, his heart rippled. His eyes stared straight at Chunliener's face. "Senior Lu, you already know? Then you don't dislike me?" I didn't dare to see you." Chunliener sighed and pretended to drink more. Lu Tongtian grabbed her wine. "Liener, what exactly is going on?" "I was forced. Someone framed me. That bastard Skywing Taiko has been coveting me for a long time. I was also drugged by Yun Shang's group. When I woke up, I found that everything was ruined." After saying this, Chunliener began to cry. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain. When Lu Tongtian heard this, anger rose in his heart. Liana, I knew you weren't that kind of person. You said someone framed you? Skywing Taiko Yunsheng? Who are those people? Seeing that Lu Tongtian already believed her, Chen Lianer was secretly delighted. Skywing Taiko already deserved it. He already died in the beast riot in Skywing City. As for Yunsheng, she is from the magic elite camp. But I don't dare to say. She pretended to be afraid. What's there to be afraid of? Could it be that she's even stronger than me, a Saint Regin Shakyamuni? Lu Tongtian patted his chest. He didn't believe that a normal student could be stronger than him. That damn new student. He actually caused Chen Lianer to lose her chastity. He definitely wouldn't let this matter rest. Chapter 725. Senior Apprentice Brother Lu. I know you're doing this for my own good, but I still don't want you to take any risks. That person's identity isn't simple. Even Instructor Xiao doesn't dare to offend him. Chen Lianer saw that Lu Tongtian had fallen for her trick so easily and was overjoyed, but she still put on a pitiful appearance. Her current appearance instead aroused Lu Tongtian's tenderness for the fairer sex even more. Lu Tongtian's face was full of pride. Lianer, what's that person's background? Tell me. I want to see just what's so great about her. She's called Yunsheng. She's made things difficult for me many times in Zhou State. After entering the elite camp, she spread rumors everywhere to hurt me. She's a student of a dark gold instructor and a 2-star student. After returning from the Skywing City trial, the elders all think highly of her. Chen Lianer added fuel to the fire. She knew that Lu Tongtian was most dissatisfied with the special students who were highly regarded by the elders as soon as they entered. A few years ago, Lu Tongtian had never been highly regarded in the elite camp of the continent. After accumulating for a long time, there was a shadow in his heart. He hated these so-called geniuses the most. As expected, after hearing that Yunsheng was a favorite student of the elders, Lu Tongtian snorted. What's so great about her? There hasn't been a strong student under the dark gold instructor for many years. Don't worry, I can't do it in the elite camp. Wait until the next blood purge and I'll help you teach her a lesson. No matter how much you've suffered, I'll help you get back at her. Chen Lianer stopped crying when she heard this. Although Lu Tongtian was ugly, he was a man of his word. Moreover, he had entered the Dutian blood beast world many times and his magic was very strong. With his current strength, it would be easy for him to kill Yunsheng, who was only a Saint Magus. It's not just Yunsheng. There's another person who's also very hateful. That's Feng Tian. Chen Lianer thought of her encounter in the magic forest during the day and gnashed her teeth. Feng Tian, the number one of the newcomers? I heard that he is a very arrogant person. However, didn't they say that he was defeated by a kid from the warrior elite camp? Lu Tongtian had heard of Feng Tian's name before. Feng Tian and he belonged to two different types of people. As soon as Feng Tian entered the magic elite camp, he rose rapidly. Lu Tongtian, on the other hand, had endured for many years. He had long heard of Feng Tian's name, but had never had the chance to meet him. Hearing Chen Lianer say this, Lu Tongtian secretly remembered Feng Tian's name. Chen Lianer told Lu Tongtian what had happened in the magic forest. This brat must be tired of living. How dare he bully you? Don't worry, next time we enter the magic forest, I'll accompany you. At that time, I'll let that brat have a taste of what it means to speak with strength, said Lu Tongtian disdainfully. Hearing Lu Tongtian say this, Chen Lianer couldn't help but smile. Lu Tongtian looked at her and leaned closer. His gaze fell on Chen Lianer's body with ill intentions. Liana, I've been so good to you. I even lent you my bracelet. You see. Chen Lianer's heart turned cold. She hesitated for a long time before thinking of the bracelet. Gritting her teeth, she said, You still have to do me a favor. If it succeeds, I'll be yours. As she said this, she took out the shabby bracelet and took out the Enigma stone. Seeing the stone, Lu Tongtian couldn't help but let out an sound. Lu Tongtian had coincidentally obtained this bracelet from the stomach of a commander-level magical beast. He had discovered that the bracelet was very beneficial for training and using magic. However, ever since he had broken through to the Saint level Law King level, He had discovered that the bracelet was not as useful as before. At that time, Lu Tongtian had thought that it was very likely because a part of the bracelet was missing. Thus he had spent a lot of effort searching for it. However, no matter how hard he searched, even when he entered the central area of the Dutian blood beast world, he had never found anything similar to the missing part of the bracelet. Since the bracelet was not very useful in his hands, and Lu Tongtian had wanted to pursue Chen Lianer, he had given it away. Unexpectedly, Chen Lianer had found a stone that was exactly the same shape as the missing part of the bracelet. Lu Tongtian took the soul stone and used his magic to examine it. This is a magical beast soul stone. From the looks of it, the grade is not low. It is very likely that it is the missing part of the bracelet. Come with me to find a weapon refiner and see if he can repair this bracelet as soon as possible. Lu Tongtian brought Chen Lianer to find a weapon refiner. With the help of this weapon refiner, Chen Lianer really managed to repair the old bracelet. She happily put on the bracelet and reluctantly agreed to Lu Tongtian's request. Yun Sheng returned to her residence and told her dark gold mentor about the results of what she had learned during the day in the enchanted forest. Forbidden magic is a very special kind of magic. However, with your current level of training, the effects of using it are very ordinary. Why don't we discuss how to convert this kind of forbidden magic? The dark gold mentor was also very surprised that Yun Sheng had accidentally learned of forbidden magic. There were different opinions about forbidden magic on the mainland. Some had good opinions while others had bad opinions. This was very similar to dark magic. If it were any other mentor, they might be shocked to find out that their student had learned forbidden magic. However, it was different for the dark gold mentor. She accepted this fact calmly and spent the night discussing with Yun Sheng how to convert this forbidden magic into a magic that Yun Sheng could use. After a night of discussion, the mentor and disciple really thought of a new kind of magic when the sun came up. It was a new kind of magic that was specially made for Yun Sheng. It could be combined with Yun Sheng's Millennium Ice Zither, and use the sound of the zither to confuse the enemy's battle skills and magic incantations. The dark gold mentor called it the Demon Sealing Zither. The Demon Sealing Zither is best used on students with lower levels of training than you in battle. In a few days, you will enter the Dutian blood beast world and undergo blood refinement. You should adjust yourself in these few days. The dark gold mentor warned Yun Sheng. Ke Ling, who was secretly spying on Yun Sheng, saw everything that the dark gold mentor taught her. Ke Ling was jealous and resentful. The dark gold mentor had never thought of any unique magic for her. However, Yun Sheng, you won't be happy for long. That night, when Yun Sheng and the dark gold mentor began to meditate, Ke Ling quietly left the cottage. She went straight to the mainland's elite warrior camp and found a few warriors beside a campsite with a bonfire. These warriors seemed to be of good cultivation. They were all around the martial saint level. They were all senior students. Ke Ling, who is going to be unlucky this time? These people all knew Ke Ling. For a female magician with good looks and money, these single warriors were very happy to get to know her, even if Ke Ling's methods were a little cruel. Same old rules. Deposit of 10,000 gold coins. Pay the rest afterwards. This time the target is my junior Yun Sheng. She will enter the Dutian blood beast world in a few days to participate in the 3 days and 3 nights of newcomer training. Ke Ling took out a bag of gold coins and threw it to the leader of the warriors. Chapter 726. These warriors had worked with Ke Ling for a long time. A few times, Ke Ling's unlucky juniors had been secretly killed by these people after entering the Dutian blood beast world. Newcomers who entered the Dutian blood beast world for the first time had to survive alone for 3 days and 3 nights. In these 3 days and 3 nights, newcomers could not have other helpers, companions, or mentors. Yun Sheng was no exception. Ke Ling had been tricked by Yun Sheng a few times, and she remembered it all. In the mainland magic elite camp, there were dark gold mentors, so Ke Ling could not do it. She had been waiting for an opportunity. As long as Yun Sheng entered the Dutian blood beast world, she would find someone to kill her. In the Dutian blood beast world, there were many blood cloud beasts, as well as other warriors, mages and summoners who had entered the Dutian blood beast world to train. Especially recently, he heard from the dark gold-ranked instructor that the magical beasts in the blood world of the heavenly beast seemed to be acting strangely. Therefore, the 3 days and 3 nights trial this time was personally led by the cautious second elder. The original 300 trainees who were supposed to be sent to the Duqian Blood Beast world had been reduced to 100. It could be said that the 100 trainees this time were the elites of the newcomers. Under such circumstances, killing Yun Shang without anyone knowing, even if the Dark Gold mentor suspected, they would not be able to trace it back to Keling. Keling, you are too stingy. Besides, I heard that Yun Shang is very popular. I heard that she is the focus of the elders in the magic elite camp. She is also the king of combat. 20,000 gold coins for her life. Isn't that too cheap? Those martial artists were dissatisfied. It was a coincidence that they had cooperated with Keling. It was because she had found out that they had raped and killed a female trainee in the magic elite camp. Keling had used this as a threat, which was why they had accepted Keling's assassination mission at such a low price. However, after a long time, especially after Keling had used them to kill several of her junior brothers and sisters, they were no longer willing to be used by Keling. What's more, the first few assassination targets were very ordinary. It was easier than killing a blood cloud beast. Plus, Keling was willing to exchange some pills and gold coins, so they reluctantly helped to kill them. However, if the target was someone that the elders of the mage elite camp of the continent were paying close attention to, then killing him might cause unnecessary trouble. These martial artists weren't stupid. If the elders of the magic elite camp went to the martial artist elite camp, they would have to bear the consequences. They might even be kicked out of the martial artist elite camp. If that happened, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. What kind of king of combat is she? She's just hanging around in Skywing City's worst Yellow Wings competition zone. She only won by sheer luck. I heard that the reason why she was able to become the champion of the annual tournament was because of the chaos in Skywing City. She only won because she picked up scraps in the midst of chaos. Otherwise, given her cultivation, she would only be a Saint Magus, and one that had just broken through. It would be very easy for you to kill her. Keling knew that this group of people had been in the Duqian Blood Beast world for a long time. They were the typical outlaws who bullied the weak. They didn't dare to provoke the strong, such as Yi Baiming's sister Lan. Therefore, Keling was very cunning and didn't reveal Yun Shang's other identity. She was Yi Baiming's fiancée. Otherwise, even if they were given 100 guts, they wouldn't dare to get close to Yun Shang. After listening to Keling's analysis, this group of people had indeed become bold. The mage elite camp of the continent was different from the martial artist elite camp of the continent. Martial artists trained hard, and many of them came from poor families. However, magi were different. From the magic scepter, the magician's robe, to the magic potions they used every day, every one of them burned money. To be able to enter the mage elite camp of the continent, one's family must be well off. Just think, Yun Shang was a new student who had just returned from Skywing City. She was also a king of combat. She must have money or defensive magic tools on her. Yun Shang still has a lot of money on her. Furthermore, I can tell you another secret. Yun Shang is one of the 2 girls who killed Dao Banan's brother. Keling didn't forget to add oil to the fire. What, it's those 2 girls? Damn it, I've been looking for those 2 girls to avenge my brother. Among the few martial artists, a man with a scar on his face jumped up. Yun Shang and Dong Huangling, were Yuqin and Little Chili Pepper. There were very few people who knew about this. Keling only found out about this because she saw a few teachers from the martial artist elite camp coming to pick a fight. The younger brother of the man with the scar was also a martial artist from the martial artist elite camp. He had gone to the mage elite camp with a few of his fellow disciples to hunt for girls. Who knew that he would be killed by Dong Huangling? Keling was framing them. Yun Shang had only injured them. The one who killed them was Dong Huangling. However, Keling put all the blame on Yun Shang. Then what about the other girl? I will definitely avenge my brother. Dao Banan only had one younger brother. He was a veteran of the martial artist elite camp. His strength was at the initial stage of martial saint. Don't panic. The other girl is called Dong Huangling. She hasn't been in the camp recently. However, after you guys kill Yun Shang, I will definitely bring her over the next time. Seeing that the few martial artists had already fallen into her trap, Keling was secretly delighted. I heard that the girl is very beautiful. I haven't met a beautiful female magician for a long time. Hearing that, the few martial artists laughed. Then it's settled. Before Yunsheng leaves, I will leave a special magic mark on her body. You guys just need to use this hawk to find her whereabouts. Seeing that her plan had succeeded, Keling paid the few martial artists 10,000 gold coins and returned to her residence. A few days later, Yunsheng and close to 100 new students participating in the Dutian Blood Beast trial for the first time would be led by the second elder to the Dutian Blood Beast world to begin the first blood purge. Before leaving, Gu Feng and Abandon specially looked for Yunsheng. The three of them went to the inn of the elite camp for a small gathering. Yunsheng, there are many magical beasts in the Dutian Blood Beast world. You have to be careful at all times. You can't light a fire at night. Also, you have to find a place far away from water. It's best if you sleep on a tree. Gu Feng was like an old mother, nagging Yunsheng non-stop. Here's a map. The blue area is the source of water. The red area is where the magical beasts gather. And the yellow area is the resting area. Compared to Gu Feng, Abandon's instructions were much simpler. Yunsheng took the map and looked at it. Abandon's map was concise and to the point. He also carefully separated the different areas by color. Hey Abandon, you're biased. Why didn't you give me such a good map when I went in? I was wondering why you looked like you didn't get enough sleep these few days. So it was because you were working hard on the map. Gu Feng was dissatisfied. Abandon blushed. He wasn't good with words, and he was afraid that Yunsheng would misunderstand. For a moment he didn't know what to say. It was Yunsheng's first time participating in the trial, so he was also very nervous. Chapter 727. When Yunsheng saw Gu Feng teasing Qi and Qi's annoyed expression, she felt warmth in her heart. Gu Feng's concern was understandable. Although Qi wasn't good with words, 1,000 words couldn't compare to the practicality of a map. The two of you are indeed my good brothers, Yunsheng said with a smile. She suddenly thought, it's a pity that I can't go with Ling in this trial. Donghuang Ling had already returned to the eastern capital for 10 days, but there was still no news. I've already written a letter to Ling. When you come out of the trial, you should be able to see Ling reply. Gu Feng felt embarrassed when he heard Ling name. Don't worry, Ling should have just arrived in the eastern capital. She promised that she'll be back in 2 months. Yunsheng teased. Gu Feng's appearance was really like the first awakening of love. The three of them chatted and laughed. At this time there were a few noisy tables nearby. Yunsheng took a look and saw a familiar face. It was the person who had sold her the list of the elite camp's members. Gu Feng grumbled, what are these people doing? They're making a ruckus. Can't they even let people eat? Let's listen first. They seem to be talking about something about the blood refinement. Yunsheng was interested in their conversation. She had good hearing, so she could occasionally hear something about the magic list in 3 days and 3 nights. It turned out that the tavern was currently discussing the matter of the magic power rankings. Have you heard? In the blood refinement, Li Xiao was overtaken by Lan Tian. I've heard about this long ago. Sister Lan's momentum is going to overtake Lu Tongtian and directly compete for the first place of the elite camp. I think this matter is still uncertain. Lu Tongtian's strength is too strong. No matter what, the top 3 of the magic list won't change. That's not necessarily true. Don't forget, the freshman trial is about to start. Once it starts, it means that there will be people joining the competition for the magic list. I think you've drunk too much. What can a freshman do? That Feng Tian has already been defeated. It's hard to say. Didn't you hear that quite a few new students broke through during this time's trial in Skywing City? Who knows, the new students might rise up this time. The group of people discussed fervently. Soon the topic shifted to the blood purge. They were even discussing how many people would survive the blood purge. I bet 100 gold coins, 60%. 50% is already not bad. I heard that the blood beast sector has not been peaceful recently. However, there was one thing that they agreed on. They all believed that Feng Tian would definitely get first place in this rookie blood purge. When Yunsheng heard this, she only smiled. A few days later, Yunsheng headed to the campsite to meet up with the students who were participating in the blood purge. When they arrived at the assembly point, Yun Shang saw nearly 100 students and the second elder. The second elder immediately announced that he would lead the blood purge this time. At the same time, he also announced the rewards for the blood purge. The blood purge for the freshmen was considered a major event in the Magic Elite Camp. In order to encourage the freshmen, the second elder had even set up a special reward out of his own pocket. The first place would receive a soul-cleansing elixir, while the second and third place would receive a high-grade elixir. When she heard about the soul-cleansing elixir, Yun Shang could not help but pay more attention. Ever since she had absorbed a portion of the Maze Stone's energy on the empty ship, Yun Shang's Dharma soul had improved greatly. Unfortunately, she had yet to break through. The soul-cleansing elixir was the second elder's exclusive elixir. Could not be bought outside. Yun Shang did not know how this elixir was refined. After consuming it, the user's Dharma soul would be purified. For students who were at a bottleneck, it could help them break through their bottleneck. For other students, it could also help them stabilize their cultivation. It seemed that she was determined to get the elixir this time. Yun Shang thought to herself. What she lacked now was a soul-cleansing elixir. The conditions for winning the blood purge were actually very simple. Other than successfully surviving 3 days and 3 nights in the Dutian blood beast world, the additional condition was to kill as many blood cloud beasts as possible. Let's go, the second elder ordered. Everyone split into groups of 10 and entered the teleportation spell formation. When the 100 freshmen walked out of the spell formation, they were already in a desolate place similar to a small border town. In front of them there was a red mist of blood. The wind that had not dissipated for many years blew past. On the ground, there was only dried yellowish-brown soil. The trees were also crooked. Not far away there was a winding river of sand. The river water was murky, and there was a disgusting smell of heavy metal floating out from it. Students, we have already entered the entrance of the Dutian blood beast world. In front of us is a relay station called the Dutian Relay Station. The U Relay Station is in front of the Dutian blood beast world. For the next 3 days and 3 nights you will undergo the blood purge here. The second elder, as the leader of the group, was in charge of the training of the 100 students. The second elder led the 100 students to the Dutian Relay Station to prepare for the training. The Dutian Relay Station was not big. It was made up of a few rows of simple houses. The structures of the houses were very simple and could only be used to block the wind and rain. The first row was the liaison office of the relay station, which provided accommodation. The second row was the weapon shop, medical center, and grocery store. There were only the most basic supplies and supplies. Everyone could only buy 1 bag of fresh water at a time. As for food, the relay station did not have it at all. The water bags were said to be made from the skin of a special magical beast. The price of 1 water bag was as high as 200 gold coins. The simplest weapons, magic weapons, armor, and mage robes were sold here, but the price was many times higher than outside. In Yun Shang's words, only idiots would buy things here. There is one more thing that I need to remind you. The time in the Dutian blood beast world is slower than on the mainland. It is roughly twice as slow as outside. Also, it is best to leave your personal belongings, including food and some pills, at the relay station. Because of the uniqueness of the blood beast world, the blood aura here is very strong, and it is easy to contaminate food and pills, the second elder informed everyone. In the Dutian blood beast world, because of the existence of the Dutian blood seal, regardless of whether it was sunrise or sunset, or the 4 seasons, it was different from other places on the mainland. The newcomers did not know about this beforehand. After being reminded by the second elder, Yun Shang also noticed that the size of the hourglass in the relay station was twice as large as the one on the mainland. That means we have to stay in there for 6 days and 6 nights? How can we last with just a bag of water and no food? The students discussed. There are 2 ways to obtain food. It depends on which one you choose. The second elder was obviously used to such questions from the students. The newcomers had to understand the cruel reality before they could learn the way to survive in the Dutian blood beast world. Does anyone know which 2 ways are? The second elder kept them in suspense. Chapter 728. Hunting magical beasts or plundering other people's food. Yun Shang answered from the side. Not bad. The second elder nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that Yun Shang had not only won the title of King of Fighters in the trial of Skywing City. The second elder could see that Yun Shang was able to adapt to the blood purge faster than the others after the life and death battles in the arena. The group of new magicians all had incredulous expressions on their faces. The second elder also gave each student a badge. The badge that the second elder gave out was called a magic badge. Gu Feng and Qi also had one. This badge was very important to the students of the elite camp. The badge of the magician elite camp had the word magic on it, while the badge of the warrior elite camp had the word martial on it. The badge had two functions. First, it recorded the number of blood cloud beasts or enemies killed after entering the Dutian blood beast world. For the new students, the most important thing was to stay alive. As for how many magical beasts they killed, that was a secondary concern. However, after completing this trial, the freshmen would officially become seniors. At that time, the magic badge would play a very important role. The elite badge was an important badge that ran through the entire continent's magician elite camp. According to the rules of the continent's magician elite camp, for every 500 blood cloud beasts killed, they would have the opportunity to enter the magic forest and learn a type of advanced magic. And every year, the magic list was ranked according to the accumulated results of the elite badge. It could be said that this was where the honor of the continent's magician elite camp lay. It was also the true proof of the strength of the magician elite camp. Secondly, the badge's other function was to determine whether a student was alive or dead. The badge was also known as the badge of life and death. If a student was killed, the badge would change color. The second elder had warned them that the blood cloud beasts in the Dutian blood beast world were more active recently. It was very likely that there would be ferocious blood cloud beasts appearing even in the periphery. Because this was the first blood purge, the new students were allowed one chance to call for help. If there was someone who could not hold on, they could immediately crush the badge and the second elder would rush over to save them. However, what awaited these rescued people was the fate of being expelled from the continent's magic elite camp. Hearing the second elder's words, everyone was very nervous about the magic badges in their hands. Yun Shang also kept the badge close to her body. After the second elder gave his instructions, the students went to the relay station to buy water. Yun Shang did not buy anything superfluous. She first chatted with the people at the relay station. She first heard from the people at the relay station about the magical beasts and fruits that could be eaten in the blood beast world. The people at the relay station also told Yun Shang that the red river outside the relay station was called the Crimson Moon River. At the end of the river was the central region of the Dutian blood beast world. In other words, Yun Shang's range of activity this time could not exceed the end of Crimson Moon River. She recorded everything on the map one by one. At this moment, someone stood in front of Yun Shang. Feng Tian walked in front of Yun Shang. "I want the first place." Yun Shang was a little surprised. This should be the first time that Feng Tian took the initiative to talk to her. In her impression, Feng Tian had always been high and mighty and never talked to anyone. Rather than saying that he was a loner, it was better to say that he disdained to talk to anyone. Needless to say, he was talking to Yun Shang, who used to be the last place. However, from the incident with Chan Liener, this person was also a haggard person. Yun Shang also could not be bothered to have anything to do with him. First, Feng Tian thought so too. Even if Yi Baiming had once hinted that Yun Shang was his real opponent, he still looked down on Yun Shang. However, all of this had changed now. Because Yun Shang was now a 2-star standard student like Feng Tian, and also because Yun Shang had been in the limelight during the chaos in Tianyi City. She had won the Combat King title that even Feng Tian could not defeat. Feng Tian thought that among the 100 people this time, Yun Shang was barely an opponent who could compete with him. "Let's rely on our own abilities." Yun Shang was non-committal. "You're not worthy of competing with me at all. This time Yi Baiming won't help you." Feng Tian snorted. What he meant was that he was mocking Yun Shang. It was not a secret among the students who participated in the trial that Yun Shang was Yan. However, in Feng Tian's opinion, Yun Shang's Combat King title came from an improper background. Everyone could tell that Yi Baiming was interested in her. Furthermore, the two of them had entered and exited the Sea of Clouds together. It was impossible for an ordinary master magician like Yun Shang to kill the unicorn. The only explanation was that Yi Baiming helped her kill the unicorn. In Feng Tian's eyes, A woman who relied on a man to win the competition was not qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as him. However, after that, Yun Shang was promoted to a 2-star student. Feng Tian, I can still defeat you even without Yi Baiming's help. Yun Shang was enraged. Earlier she still had the thought that she could fight for first place. However, Feng Tian's words made her determined. She was determined to get first place this time. Let's wait and see. Feng Tian walked away. Yun Shang thought for a moment, then added a few more things to her shopping list and bought them one by one. Chapter 729. These people were Scarface Nan and the others who had been asked by Kailang to assassinate Yun Shang. They had used the same method to lure and kill many of the hot-blooded newcomers who had just entered the Dutian Blood Beast world. They had obtained clues from Kailang and had used the Flying Eagle to track Yun Shang's whereabouts. Although they knew that Yun Shang was just a newly advanced holy mage, Scarface Nan and the others did not dare to underestimate her. After Yun Shang had left the relay station, they had followed her all the way. After some discussion, they had decided to make a move on Yun Shang. They had pretended to rob her and asked Yun Shang for help. Their goal was to lure Yun Shang into attacking them and capture her when she was unprepared. Who knew that Yun Shang would be so vigilant? She did not even look at them, let alone approach them. She had avoided them from afar. As a result, their plan fell through. Fortunately, the Flying Eagle had followed her all the way. When it was dark, we would make a move. Scarface Nan pointed in the direction of Yun Shang, and the others quickly followed. Scarface Nan and the others chattered as they continued to follow Yun Shang. On the other side of the slope, a pair of men walked out. This pair of men came and went without a trace. There were no magic or dou qi fluctuations around them. They looked young and handsome, as if they had walked out of a painting. The most unique thing about them was their eyes. One of them was purple like a fine purple jade, while the other had green eyes like a sparkling tourmaline. The two of them were about the same age, but one was tall and the other was slightly shorter. The green-eyed young man was very cute. His skin was glistening and he had a cute face. The other purple-eyed young man was gorgeous. He had long eyebrows and thin eyes. He had a cool and handsome face. The two of them were also very well dressed. They looked like the children of an aristocratic family who had gone out to gain experience. One of them was equipped with a magic scepter, while the other was equipped with a dagger. It was obvious that one of them was a warrior, while the other was a magician. Unfortunately, Dao Ba Nan and the others had already left. Otherwise, they would definitely be secretly delighted. Merely by looking at the appearance of those two people, they were able to tell with a single glance that they were two high-quality fat sheep. Dressed like this and still dared to travel alone, it was obvious that he was from an aristocratic family. He was rich and idle but had no ability. Violet, why are you stopping me? Those people aren't good people. The green-eyed young man grinned, revealing two cute canine teeth. None of them are good. The purple-eyed youth frowned in disdain. Just now, the green-eyed and purple-eyed youths had seen how Yun Shang had left them in the lurch and pretended to rob them. What the purple-eyed man meant was that since neither side was a good person, they should just let them bite each other. But I'm hungry. A strange light flashed across the green-eyed youth's eyes. You still can't change your old habits. This is the Dutian Blood Beast world. It's better to be careful. There are many experts of the human race here. The purple-eyed youth shook his head. You won't let me use magic and you won't let me eat people. If I had known, I wouldn't have agreed to come with you. Green blinked, looking bored. You were the one who said that you wanted to take a look at the Dutian blood mark. I secretly followed you. I didn't say that I wanted to bring you along. Violet's cool face showed some dissatisfaction. All right. You're nagging like an old man again. Speaking of which, there really isn't anyone good in the human race. Look at that woman who just passed by. She didn't even frown when she saw someone being robbed. Green and Violet had been watching from the shadows. The scene of Yun Shang leaving them in the lurch made Green feel very disgusted. The more disunited the human race is, the better for us. Violet did not have a good impression of the human race, and even less of a good impression of human women. Since not everyone is here yet, why don't we do a warm-up exercise before that? Are you interested? Green Bun's face revealed a hint of mischief. What kind of warm-up? Violet knew that Green loved to be a troublemaker. In the past, when they were in the family, this kid always gave the elders headaches. But since they had left the tribe, there was nothing wrong with letting him relax. Hunting. Green spread out his hands with interest. Between his slender fingers, there were a few blood-stained badges. These badges were looted when he met a few unreasonable sorcerers on the way here. There were a few numbers marked on the badges. According to those cowardly sorcerers, these numbers were the number of blood cloud beasts they had killed after entering the Dutian blood beast world. The human race was too abominable. They actually took pleasure in killing blood cloud beasts. Green decided that he would give them a taste of their own medicine. He was going to do the exact opposite. If the human race hunted blood cloud beasts, he would hunt humans. This competition between him and Z was based on who could kill more people. The winner would have to agree to a condition of the other party after returning to the tribe. Violet was also straightforward. The two of them agreed that the time limit would be 1 day and 1 night. Whoever killed the most people in a day and night would be the winner. The two of them immediately separated. With the north and south of the Crimson Moon River as the boundary, they walked in opposite directions. On the other side of the river, Yunsheng walked for a while. She raised her head and looked at the sky. Along the way, she did not even meet a single blood cloud beast. She did not know if she was lucky or unlucky. In the sky, except for an eagle, there were only a few thin red clouds floating in the sky. Night was coming. At night in the blood beast world, the temperature would drop sharply. Furthermore, there would be some nocturnal magic beasts around. In an unfamiliar environment, it was easy to be attacked. Green approached the cave in front of him and saw the faint light of a fire. Stupid human woman. How dare she light a fire in a place where magic beasts roam? Green disdainfully walked towards the cave. The Dutian blood beast world was spacious. If a fire was lit in the cave, it would not only attract magic beasts, but also bandits with ulterior motives. From this point, it could be seen that this human woman was very inexperienced. However, everything had to go according to plan. It was too boring to eat her up in one bite. On Green's cute face, there was a sinister smile that did not match his age and temperament. His greatest evil hobby was to not kill his enemies immediately after catching them. Like a cat catching a mouse, after catching the mouse he would slowly toy with it to death. The night was long. Everything had just begun. Green pulled out the dagger on his body. The dagger was made in a special way. It was sharp and thin like a leaf. With a flash of light, Green drew a cross on his hand. Fresh blood immediately flowed out. Green stuck out his tongue and walked forward. As he approached the cave, a fragrance that tickled Green's nose wafted out. "Who is it?" The woman's clear and melodious voice was like a clear spring. In the silent night, it was like a string of wind chimes, very pleasant to the ear. Chapter 730. What a sharp sense of touch. Wasn't she a sorcerer? In his impression, human sorcerers were mostly weak and relied on their ability to understand magic. Green was secretly shocked. Even in the tribe, his agility was among the top 3. He did not expect to be caught red-handed by a sorcerer with poor 5 senses. "I'm injured. Kind passerby, can you let me into the cave to rest?" Green spoke in a weak tone as if he would faint at any time. He slowly walked into the cave while leaning against the wall. There was a warm fire burning in the cave. The color of the fire was a little special. It was bright red. Beside the fire, there was a magical beast meat being roasted. The meat was sizzling and giving off a fragrant smell. A woman was facing away from the fire. Her snow-white hands were adding some unknown seasoning to the roasted meat. When Green saw the roasted magical beast, the corners of his mouth twitched strangely. How could there be an edible magical beast near the Crimson Moon River? Did he see wrongly? That was actually an eagle. The level 7 magical beast that the warriors had set up and followed this woman all the way. This magical beast was not very powerful, but its flying speed and dodging were very agile. An average sorcerer might not be able to kill it, even if they knew mid-level magic. This woman actually killed the eagle, roasted it, and ate it? Was she smart or just stupid? There was indeed a thick smell of blood in the air. That person was indeed injured. Yunsheng did not stop. She grabbed some dry grass with one hand and threw it into the fire. Her other hand was sprinkling some pepper and rock salt on the plump eagle. "You even brought spices out?" The woman did not answer. She minded her own business and prepared the food in her hands. As the human woman was sitting with her back to the light, Green could not see the woman's face clearly. Vaguely, the fire outlined a gentle and beautiful figure. Green did not know what to say for a moment. His gaze turned and landed on the woman's hands. He had to admit that this woman had a pair of beautiful hands. She did not even turn her head as she added spices to the eagle. There was a row of small bottles and jars at her feet. They looked like they were all condiments. After Yun Shang came to the boundless world, she was able to do household chores from a young age because her father, Yun Songhai, didn't do any household chores. Unfortunately, there were too few condiments on the boundless continent. To Yun Shang, who was used to the various fine condiments of modern society, it was very difficult for her to adapt. Slowly, she developed the habit of developing her own condiments. She would process things like pepper, coarse salt, chicken essence and so on and bring some with her. It was also very convenient to store them in the beast language ring. What the hell is this? Green had forgotten the role she was supposed to play. Out of curiosity, she reached for one of Yun Shang's small bottles. The moment Green reached out his hand, a lotus-like flame leaped out from the burning fire. The woman turned around and grabbed Green's hand in one swift movement. Green felt a sharp pain in his wound. His heart trembled. Just as he was about to explode, his green eyes met with a pair of pitch-black eyes. It was as if someone had suddenly thrown a stone into a deep pool of water that had not moved for 20 years. Green felt suffocated and subconsciously forgot to move. What a beautiful woman. She was completely natural and exuded an aura of spirituality. A woman like this, compared to the women in the tribe, was much more outstanding. Green couldn't help but be stunned when he saw her face. Green's tribe was filled with handsome men and beautiful women. Hence, his taste was undoubtedly very picky. The young girl's face was very delicate, with a kind of elf-like beauty. A pair of pitch-black eyes in the firelight were like stars. Her flawless skin, and in the darkness, a graceful figure was faintly discernible. This woman was even more beautiful than the women in the celestial fox tribe. However, the human woman in front of him could not help but make him feel a rush of excitement, although this feeling only lasted for a short while. This thought only flashed past his mind. The next moment, Green let out a scream, because this unusually beautiful young girl actually pressed her hand on Green's injured arm with incomparable precision. Green was a playful person, but he was very careful when doing things. Since he wanted to sneak in, he really stabbed his own arm with a knife. Who would have thought that this seemingly harmless young girl would be so ruthless? "Oh my God, it hurts, you vicious woman." Green immediately threw away all the fantasies that he had in his head back to Java. He also didn't care about his original intention of entering the cave, which was to kill this woman in front of him. "It's just to stop the bleeding. What are you screaming for? Are you still a man?" Yun Shang also saw clearly the reckless person who rashly entered the cave. At first glance, she was also surprised that the young man's appearance was extraordinarily beautiful. There was no lack of handsome men around Yun Shang. To put it bluntly, her aesthetic standards had long been influenced by Yi Baiming, Abandoned, Divine Wind, and the others. She was fat and thin, wild and gentle, black-bellied and gentle. She had become extremely picky when it came to meat and vegetables. But even so, Yun Shang couldn't help but be a little stunned when she saw the green-eyed young man for the first time. This young man was too beautiful, which gave Yun Shang an illusion that things would be demonic when they reached the extreme. He should be only 13 or 14 years old. He was about the same height as her, and his skin was more delicate than a woman's. His figure was slender and slightly thin. The young man at this age was between a teenager and a young girl. With a pinkish face, he looked very likable. "Stop the bleeding?" Green looked down and saw that Yun Shang's hand was pressing on his wound. The wound that was still bleeding really stopped bleeding after she pressed on it. She didn't use any elixirs or magic. She just pressed on it and the bleeding stopped? Green's expression was incredulous. In order to make it look realistic, he even used some poison on his wound. This poison was not fatal, but it would prevent the blood from clotting and create the illusion that the blood would not stop flowing. However, this human girl was actually able to stop his bleeding in just a few moves. She was not simple. The bleeding has stopped. You can leave. Yunsheng waved her hand. Hey, are you chasing me away? I'm injured. It's dark outside and I'm scared. Big sister, please take me in. Green looked very pitiful. The green-eyed young man looked pitifully at Yunsheng. He pouted and looked very cute. This trick of his was very effective. She liked people of all ages, men and women alike. Green looked even younger than Yunsheng. Your bone age tells me that you are at least 20 years old. Scram. Yunsheng glared at Green. If she had not confirmed that he had no murderous aura, she would have killed Green just now. In a place like the blood beast world, she could not be soft-hearted. She still had a few needles hidden under her fingers. Green's face was completely frozen like a rock. Chapter 731. Green last month just turned 20 years old. This age in his tribe was actually considered young. But just now he was despised by this human girl. No, how did she know his bone age? Could it be that she just casually touched it? This was too abnormal. Who was she? Once she made a move, she stopped the bleeding and touched the bone. Green has an unprecedented feeling of frustration. But after being tormented by Yunsheng, he no longer has the intention to kill. Right now, he had developed an extremely strong interest in this mysterious, cold, and beautiful human girl. He is interested in her, but the problem is that this girl obviously has no interest in him at all. Green still wants to say something, but Yunsheng is glaring at him. If looks could kill, Green would have died in times by now. Green doesn't want to fall out with Yunsheng at the moment, so he can only dilly-dally and slowly move out of the cave. Walking to the cave entrance, Green's eyes turn cold and he looks not far away. He caught sight of a few shadows that flashed by. Green grins, his small canine teeth gleam in the dark night. As he walks, he secretly mutters in his heart, "Poison scorpion woman. Let's see how long you can last." Later, don't yell at the top of your lungs for this young master to save you. Seeing that he has left, Yunsheng continues to eat her meat. Stupid girl, you made us look for you for a long time. It's the few warriors that Kuling found earlier. They originally planned to ambush Yunsheng after dark, but who would have thought that halfway through, the hawk in charge of keeping watch disappeared without a trace. The few of them searched for a long time, thinking that the hawk had encountered some flying magical beast. They couldn't find the hawk, but they found the person by chance. There's a fire in this cave. The few of them looked around and sure enough they found Yunsheng. Inside the cave, Yunsheng is happily gnawing on the hawk. The group of martial artists was stunned at first. Then they saw Yunsheng's appearance clearly. When they discovered that the other party was indeed a great beauty, their hearts immediately began to itch. They grinned sinisterly. "Little girl, your looks are indeed beautiful. Let us have some fun first." Outside the cave, Green looked inside and was secretly delighted. TSK, a group of men bullying a woman. Green, who had not gone far, jumped out impatiently with a look of righteousness. Green also knew that these people had been keeping an eye on Yunsheng. For a girl like Yunsheng, who had appeared alone in the Duqian blood beast world, her cultivation level was not high, and her looks were exceptionally beautiful. In a place like this, she was simply a piece of fresh meat. Lu rubbed his fists, waiting for Yunsheng to ask for help. Lu was certain that Yunsheng's strength was at most a Saint Magus. Even in the human race, such a cultivation base was considered weak. Yunsheng was not in a hurry. She wiped the oil stains on the corners of her mouth unhurriedly. "This thing is also yours, right? That's good too. Now we're all here." Yunsheng casually tossed a few bones to the ground at their feet. Green's mouth was wide open, big enough to swallow an egg. There was something wrong with this situation. In the normal version, the woman should be in his arms with tears in her eyes. Then he would bravely and heroically kill these few humans. "Stinky girl, you actually killed our spar eagle. Don't think that you can be smug just because you saw through our stalking. There are 4 of us and you only have 2. I advise you to surrender." The martial artist was also a little uneasy. Who would have thought that such a weak girl like Yunsheng would see through their plot at a glance? 1, 2, 3 fall. Yunsheng's lips spread into a soul-stirring smile. All of a sudden, the warriors felt their vision blur. Green also felt his vision go black. All he heard was a few thuds, and all of them fell to the ground unconscious. Green stared blankly, suddenly feeling dizzy. In the next second he fell to the ground without a care for his image. He only felt a chill on his face. He wiped his face and it was wet. In front of him the girl's beautiful face was just inches away from him. He could even feel her breathing. His heart inexplicably beating wildly, Green sat up with a grunt. After looking around, Green only felt a chill down his spine. The martial artists who were flaunting their prowess earlier were now lying at the side, their bodies all tied up. In the cave, there was still a lingering fragrance similar to the knockout incense. Green's eyes flashed. Damn, he was set up. His first reaction was to check his body. That appearance, he looked like a virgin. His clothes were intact, the dagger was still there, and there were no more holes on his body. His lower body. Fortunately, it was not violated. After Green finished his inspection, he looked around vigilantly. That vicious woman was still sitting in the same place, but the fire was already extinguished. Outside the cave there was a faint light coming in. The sky was already bright. "You poisoned me." Green looked like he was stung by a bee, pointing at Yun Shang. This woman was too sinister. To think that he hadn't been deceived by her beauty. Green looked at the pile of firewood. He was wondering why he fainted for no reason. So it was all this woman's doing. She did not poison him, but there was a problem with her firewood. It was a kind of plant called rooster does not cry, and it was no different from ordinary hay. After it was dried, once it came in contact with fire, it would emit a smoke that could make an elephant faint. Yun Shang had bought a few bundles of such hay at the Duqian relay station earlier and carried them with her. She had already taken the antidote and was waiting for the bandits to fall into her trap. Yun Shang was a summoner, and she was much more sensitive to magical beasts than the average person. When she noticed that there was an eagle of unknown origin following her in the sky, she became vigilant. It was Green's appearance that surprised her, but just in case, she still knocked Green out as well. Just now, when Green was unconscious, she also searched him. Except for the dagger on the youth's body, which was a little special, Yun Shang did not find anything strange. What inexperienced, what weak woman. This woman was simply a shrewd old witch. "I have already reminded you, but you refused to leave." Yun Shang looked at the youth's flustered and exasperated appearance, and revealed a meaningful smile. These days her appearance did not change much, but her temperament had changed a lot. In the early years Yun Shang was like a red lotus, pure and beautiful. But now she was like a blooming rose, exuding an enchanting aura. Who knew if it was because of the awakening of the magical beast blood in her body? Seeing this smile, Green's face and heart beat faster, and he did not know where to put his hands and feet. Well, he deserved it, bumping into the knife wound. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. He had been poisoned, and if he had not been careful, he would have died here. His reputation would have been ruined. "Since you are awake, go and carry them away. It's daybreak and I want to leave the cave." Yun Shang shrugged. "Why don't you kill them?" Although Green was grumbling, he still obediently rolled up his sleeves and went to carry the few warriors. He kept telling himself that he was not listening to the words of this poisonous scorpion woman of the human race. He was just curious and wanted to know how she was going to deal with this group of warriors. Chapter 732. The sky was just beginning to brighten. Yun Shang had a leisurely look on her face as she ordered Green to carry the unconscious martial practitioners all the way to the Crimson Moon riverside. It had to be said that Green looked a little stupid and a little silly, but his strength was not bad. He actually carried 4 men who were several times his size over his shoulders and carried 2 of them back and forth. "Give me some water to drink." Green wiped his sweat. Yun Shang casually threw a half bottle of water to him. Green opened the stopper and drank a few mouthfuls. He felt the faint fragrance of a young girl between his lips, and his heart could not help but tremble. Seeing a ghost, Green spat, and immediately dispelled the thoughts in his heart. She was just a human girl, how could she make him have such a strange feeling? Kill her. Once I find out why she brought people here, I will immediately kill her. Green silently said in his heart. While Green was drinking water, Yun Shang had already found a few wooden frames and tied the warriors to the wooden frames. When they were all tied up, Yun Shang walked to the front of Dao Banan and inserted 2 needles into his glabella and philtrum. Dao Banan slowly woke up, and when he found himself in his surroundings, he realized what had happened. You quickly let us go. We are from the elite camp of the continent. If the camp finds out what you have done, they will definitely not let you go. Nonsense, if I throw you into the river and throw you into the fish's stomach, who will know where you came from? Yun Shang glanced sideways at the Crimson Moon River not far away. The Crimson Moon River's water was tens of meters deep. Below it lived the greedy and carnivorous high-level magical beast, the blood-toothed crocodile. If a few strong men were thrown in less than a quarter of an hour, they would be gnawed into skeletons. When Dao Banan heard this, the cold sweat on his forehead dripped down. He only felt that his legs were weak, and his mouth did not listen to him. Miss, please let us go. I was ordered by someone, that's why I was bewitched. It was Keling, your senior sister Keling, who wanted to kill you. She also told me your whereabouts. Dao Banan thought that as long as he told her who the mastermind was, Yun Shang would let him go. Unfortunately, Yun Shang didn't have a good impression of the people in the warrior elite camp from the first day she entered. After extorting a confession, Yun Shang did not hesitate. She waved the magic scepter in her hand and Scarface Nan screamed miserably. He was swept up by a gust of wind and rolled into the Crimson Moon River. What are you trying to do? Green was puzzled. If she wanted to kill someone, she could have just killed him with a knife. Yun Shang's action was simply superfluous. Make use of the remaining value. Yun Shang had not forgotten her purpose for participating in this blood purge. After completing 3 days and 3 nights of the trial, he also had to obtain first place in this trial and obtain the second Elder's soul cleansing pill. Green was stunned. At the bottom of the Crimson Moon River, there was a strange movement. Many blood-toothed crocodiles had appeared under the river. This was a soldier-level magical beast that often appeared in the Crimson Moon River. Each of them was about 2 meters tall and had sharp teeth. They liked to appear in groups. The blood-toothed crocodile bit off Dao Banan's leg and pulled with all its might. But because of the wooden frame, the crocodile was unable to completely pull the person into the river. In a short period of time, more and more blood-toothed crocodiles climbed up. Yun Shang just waited by the river. After another hour, more and more blood-toothed crocodiles floated on the surface of the Crimson Moon River. You actually used poison again? Green saw Yun Shang sprinkle some powder on the warriors earlier. He didn't know Yun Shang's intention before, but now he finally understood Yun Shang's intention. Without any effort, without using any magic, she killed dozens of blood cloud beasts that floated to the surface of the water. You used your own kind to lure and kill the blood-toothed crocodiles. Isn't that too much? Green looked and felt a chill in his heart. Killing people or killing their own kind was nothing to him. But this was the first time he saw someone use such a method to lure and kill magical beasts. The weak are prey to the strong. This is the rule of survival. If I didn't do this and fell into the hands of these people, my fate today would be 100 times worse than being thrown into the river to feed the fishes. Yun Shang didn't want to talk about any great principles. But you shouldn't use poison. Humans, if they want to hunt magical beasts, they should do it openly. Green was still a little dissatisfied. What do you mean by openly? Let me ask you, if your family and friends are in danger and you only have 2 choices. Either you watch them die or you interrogate an unarmed child or an old man who knows the whereabouts of the enemy. What would you do? Yun Shang asked coldly. This? Green couldn't answer. Who doesn't have family and friends? The family and friends of the enemy are the enemy. Yun Shang said indifferently. She already understood this on the first day she came to the Wuxia continent. Survival had to be paid with blood. She wasn't a saint, so she wouldn't easily help. Similarly, she wasn't a saint, so she had to win by hook or by crook. Feng Tian was stronger than her. If she wanted to defeat Feng Tian and kill more blood cloud beasts, she had to use more ingenious methods. These warriors had walked right into the trap and were fugitives sent by Kellen. Leaving them alive would only harm others. Naturally, she wouldn't let go of the opportunity to use them to lure and kill the blood-toothed crocodile. The blood-tooth crocodile was the lowest level of existence in the Dutian blood beast world. They were numerous, and once they smelled blood, they would appear in large numbers. Most importantly, this crocodile had a piece of non-poisonous meat in its jaw. It was a rare non-poisonous magical beast meat in the blood beast world, where poisonous magical beasts were everywhere. It wasn't a piece of meat the size of a fingernail, but it was a precious food that Yun Sheng would use to sustain her life when she entered and exited the Dutian blood beast world. Green's face was tense. At this moment he was very conflicted. He originally despised this kind of cunning behavior of the human race the most. But for some reason, when this sentence came out of the mouth of this unknown human girl, he couldn't find the heart to refute it. What she said seemed to make sense. In such a bloody place, a weak girl like her dared to barge in alone. If she wanted to survive, she would have to use special methods. Survival of the fittest. In the eyes of the magical beasts, this was the unchanging way of survival. But to hear such bloodthirsty words from such a beautiful girl, one could imagine the shock in Green's heart. What kind of living environment could nurture a person with such a temperament? Before coming to the Dutian blood beast world, Green's impression of the human race was that they were cunning, cruel, and despicable. After coming here and meeting this human girl, Green's impression of the human race was that they were even more cunning, cruel, and despicable. But the strange thing was, the more this was the case, the more he wanted to get closer to her, the more he wanted to understand her. What was even more strange was that even when she killed the blood-tooth crocodile and dug out the soul stone, Green thought that it was exceptionally beautiful. Her every movement and every look was filled with deadly beauty. This strange thought became more and more intense. Green thought that he was going crazy. Chapter 733. To prevent this thought from continuing, Green decided to keep a distance from this human girl. It was best for him to leave as soon as possible. Before leaving, Green could not contain his curiosity. "My name is Green. What is your name?" "Yun Sheng." As she answered, the girl waved her hand and a blood-toothed crocodile soul stone fell into her hand. "Yun Sheng, goodbye. The next time we meet, we will be enemies," Green said in his heart. After a moment of hesitation, he finally walked away. The sky gradually brightened. The new contestants of the Dutian blood beast world were about to face an even crueler day. At the Dutian relay station, the sand in the hourglass that symbolized the passage of time had already made a round trip. This meant that one day of the 3 days and 3 nights of training had already passed. Second elders group sat in front of a table with a cup of tea in front of them. Beside the tea there was a chessboard similar to China's Go. This chessboard was also known as the beginner's magic chessboard. It was specially prepared by the elite camp every time a new student entered the Dutian blood beast world. After completing the first round of training, they would not appear on the chessboard again. The new students who survived would be the old ones next time. They would have enough experience to complete the next round of training. Anyone with a discerning eye would notice that there was something special about this chessboard. The chess pieces on the chessboard would move on their own accord. They were black and white. The chess pieces were not real Go, but the magical badges of the students. On them were the names of the new contestants. The entire chessboard was a condensed map of the periphery of the Dutian blood beast world. On the chessboard there were miniature versions of the Crimson Moon River, sand dunes, caves, depressions, and other terrains. There were also some moving red dots. These red dots represented the magical beasts in the periphery of the Dutian blood beast world. The deeper the color of the red, the bigger the red, the higher the rank of the magical beast. But generally speaking, if there were no special circumstances, the periphery of the Dutian blood beast world would be filled with blood cloud beast soldiers of level 9 and below. Most of the mage elite camp students, sacred magicians, and martial grandmasters would be able to barely handle it. As long as the new students were still within the boundaries of the Dutian blood beast world, they would appear on the chessboard and move. This way, it would be convenient for second elder to grasp the general situation of the students. However, the second elder was only a spectator. He would not directly interfere with the training of the new students, even though he had already noticed that some of the students had already been surrounded by the demonic beasts. The chess pieces on the board corresponded to the 100 badges that had been sent out. With a soft sound, The white magic badge suddenly dimmed like a lamp that had been blown out by the wind. The white magic badge turned gray. Another one had died. The second elder sighed. On the chessboard, there were already 16 magic badges that had turned gray. The remaining 84 magic badges were still moving slowly. Every time, the death rate of the freshman trial would exceed 40%. Looking at this year's situation, the death rate might be even higher than in previous years. The Great Elder's guess was very likely correct. The beasts in Skywing City had caused the secret of the sky magic array to be leaked. Some of the minions of the beast should have already appeared in the Duqian Blood Beast world. In the past few days, it was said that many people who had entered the Blood Beast world had not come out. Those people were not new students. Some of them were even old students of the warrior elite camp. It was very suspicious that such a large number of people had gone missing. However, even though the second elder knew this, he did not stop the training of the new students. A storm was coming. Just as the great elder had said, the elite camp could not be their safe haven forever. The warrior elite camp did not need flowers in a greenhouse. The second elder calmed himself down and glanced at the magic badges that were still intact. These badges, apart from being mobile, could also sense the situation of the blood cloud beasts killed by the new students in real time. The badge that killed the most blood cloud beasts also emitted the most dazzling white light. The badge also correspondingly displayed the number of blood cloud beasts killed by the students. A day had passed. For the time being, Feng Tian was in first place. This was exactly as the second elder had predicted. If the chessboard was like a sky, then Feng Tian's magic badge would be like the moon, emitting a dazzling light. As for the other magic badges, they were like stars at the side, appearing much inferior. Some people's badges were even dim, which meant that they had not encountered a single blood cloud beast. Feng Tian was indeed the strongest among the new students. He was the first to break through. After entering the blood beast world, he did not stop at all. On the same day, he killed his way into the nest of the blood crystal beasts. The blood crystal wolves were pack animals. They usually appeared during the day, and there were as many as 10 of them at once. Most of the beasts in the Duqian blood beast world were ferocious by nature. Their attacking power was shocking. 10 blood crystal wolves were enough to annihilate a martial sage. However, someone as strong as Feng Tian did not have such scruples. He was either crazy or so strong that he was completely fearless. His gaze fell on the area where Feng Tian was again. Close to 8 or 9 red dots of beasts swarmed over. In just half a cup of tea's time, those red dots had all disappeared. The number on the emblem that symbolized Feng Tian had already jumped to 103. The number on Feng Tian's magic badge had been fixed at 103. Most of the blood crystal wolves in the vicinity had been killed. It seemed that it would still be difficult for Feng Tian to break Lu Tongtian's record. The second elder stroked his newly grown beard. More than 100 beasts had been killed in one day and one night. The great elder remembered that in the past few years, the record for the number of blood cloud beasts killed in one day was set by Lu Tongtian, who was ranked first on the magic power roll. If he remembered correctly, Lu Tongtian's highest record was 251 blood cloud beasts killed in one day. However, that was also because Lu Tongtian had learned the super spell Vigorous Thunderbolt. It was most effective for killing a group of beasts. With Feng Tian's current strength, it was still impossible for him to break Lu Tongtian's record. The second elder took a look at it, and his gaze fell upon a dull, almost gray magic badge. That magic badge was Yunshang's badge. Due to Yunshang's outstanding talent in alchemy, the second elder had been paying close attention to her ever since she completed the newcomer's assessment. It was a pity that Yunshang's progress in magic power had not been fast in the past few years. She also did not refine any amazing new medicines. This made the second elder somewhat disappointed in her. The thought of taking her in as a disciple had also gradually disappeared. At this moment, Yunshang's magic badge still showed the word 0. Red alert. In the next 3 days, there will be an unprecedented explosion of updates. It's the end of the month. Why are you still hiding the monthly votes? Hurry, spit them out. Chapter 734. Second elder noticed that Yunshang was in a cave near the Crimson Moon River. She had chosen a relatively secluded and safe route. Crimson Moon River was the largest river in the Dutian blood beast sector, but the water was poisonous and inedible. Moreover, there were many blood-toothed crocodiles living under the river. The number of such crocodiles was shocking. Even though their levels were not very high, their numbers were shocking. In the water area, they were considered overlords. Even the blood crystal wolves did not dare to approach Crimson Moon River. Therefore, those who had entered and exited Crimson Moon River earlier knew that as long as they followed the river and did not disturb the blood-toothed crocodiles in the river, it would not be a problem to pass 3 days and 3 nights safely. Yun Shang must have chosen Crimson Moon River because someone had instructed her in advance. Is this child a coward who is afraid of death? She doesn't even have the basic spirit of adventure. Second Elder was a little dissatisfied. Second Elder sighed and felt disappointed that he had misjudged her. He raised his teacup and took a sip. Just as Second Elder was drinking tea, a large number of red dots suddenly appeared in the originally empty area beside Yun Shang's magic badge. The number of red dots was like ants. There were at least dozens of them. Puffed. Second Elder spat out a mouthful of tea. Oh no, Yun Shang couldn't be so unlucky as to accidentally disturb the crocodiles in Crimson Moon River. Right? With so many blood-toothed crocodiles, even Second Elder did not have much confidence that he could escape. Second Elder's gaze froze as he looked at Yun Shang's magic badge in disbelief. The surrounding red dots of magical beasts all disappeared at once. The light on the magic badge became brighter and brighter. The numbers on the magic badge were also changing dramatically. 0, 13, 26, 38. Second Elder felt his eyelids twitching nervously. As his eyelids twitched, the numbers on the magic badge continued to change. It jumped from 0 to 60 in an instant. How is this possible? Isn't this Yun Shang's magic badge? How did she kill 60 blood-toothed crocodiles in one go? Second Elder's first reaction was that the magic chessboard was broken. However, when he looked at the other magic badges, everything was normal. After pausing for about half an hour, the number on Yun Shang's magic badge changed again. This time it increased by another 40 yuan. The third time it increased by 30 again. In just a few sips of tea, Yun Shang's magic badge had already surpassed Feng Tian's. It was impossible for Yun Shang to achieve that speed by herself. Finally, the number on the magic badge stopped at 200. No, there must be someone helping her. This was the only thought that came to Second Elder's mind. The Second Elder stayed up all night, and when the sun rose the next day, he stared at Yun Shang's magic badge, dumbfounded. Heavens, 500, a total of 500 blood-toothed crocodiles. Yun Shang also didn't move around in other areas. Looking at the situation, she was only concentrated in the Crimson Moon River area to kill the blood-toothed crocodiles. In just 1 day and 1 night, no, to be exact, in 1 night Yun Shang killed 500 blood-toothed crocodiles. Not to mention the continent's magic elite camp. Even if you looked at the entire continent's elite camp, you couldn't find a second person who could kill so many blood-toothed crocodiles in 1 day. Second Elder couldn't remain calm anymore. If it were someone else, such as Lu Tongtian, who was a godlike killer, they might be able to achieve such a number in 1 day. But Yun Shang was just a newcomer. How could she kill so many blood-toothed crocodiles in such a short time? Second Elder couldn't sit still anymore. He decided to go to Yun Shang's location to see if Yun Shang had used normal methods to kill the blood-toothed crocodiles. As the leader of the team this time, he should ensure that the competition between every student was fair. Second Elder rushed to the middle section of the Crimson Moon River. These 2 days, Yun Shang had concentrated in the Crimson Moon River area to kill magical beasts. When Second Elder arrived, he saw that half of the Crimson Moon River was dyed red. Second Elder just happened to see this scene. Yun Shang used a very strange-shaped knife to cut out the soul stone of the blood-toothed crocodile and the edible meat on its lower jaw. Every time she finished killing a blood-toothed crocodile, she would sprinkle a kind of poison powder on its body and kick it back to the Crimson Moon River. With such speed and such movements, Yun Shang did it naturally and easily. Her efficiency was also astonishingly high. Second Elder immediately dispelled all the doubts in his mind. Yun Shang didn't break the rules. She just used the blood-toothed crocodile's bloodthirsty nature to kill crazily at the sight of blood to poison it. The Second Elder left silently. At the end of the Crimson Moon River, Z returned to the hillside according to the agreement and found Green. Green was standing beside the Crimson Moon River. The flowing water was far away, but he ignored it and stared at the wound on his hand in a daze. Z walked to Green's side. He rarely saw his little friend in such a state. He looked like a child who was locked up for 7 days and 7 nights when he first snuck into the Forbidden Lands. I admit defeat. Green's face was a little unnatural. For 1 day and 1 night, he didn't kill a single person. Don't go back on your word. Didn't you say you were going to eat that cold-hearted woman? Z threw down a dozen magic scepters and dozens of weapons. He met many unlucky people along the way. He didn't even leave a bone behind. Green pursed his lips. Yun Shang was such a vicious woman. If he ate her, his intestines would probably rot. With that woman's means, Green felt that he couldn't defeat her without using magic. He looked at the wound on his hand. The wound had already healed, leaving only a shallow cross. With Green's physique and magic, he only needed to cast a small spell to make the wound disappear. But for some reason he remembered that night when Yun Shang held his hand. That feeling seemed to still remain on his skin. Green couldn't bear to let the scar disappear. Don't tell me. You fell in love with that human woman? Z realized that something was wrong with his friend. Bah, who likes humans? I hate humans the most. Green jumped up as if his eyebrows were on fire. He was anxious and embarrassed. He was a descendant of the 8 barren mythical beasts with noble blood. How could he fall in love with a cruel and shameless human? It's best that you don't. The mixed blood beasts are already despised by humans. What's more, that woman is a dirty human. This kind of human can only be used as a slave or plaything at most. Z didn't think much of it. He thought that this time Green was just acting on a whim. After hearing Z's words, Green's beautiful eyes flashed and he didn't say a word. Just then, a 5-colored cloud appeared above the Crimson Moon River. Chapter 735. In the Blood Beast world, the clouds in the sky were all red. Green and purple raised their eyebrows at the sight of the 5-colored cloud. As soon as Lu saw the multicolored cloud, an unnatural expression appeared on her face. Tisk, looks like the others have arrived. Let's go. If we don't, He Lin Lin will beat us to it. The 2 figures flashed and disappeared into the morning sun at an incredible speed. 3 days and 3 nights passed quickly. There were only 56 magic badges left on Second Elder's newbie chessboard. 44 people had lost their lives in this newbie trial. At this time, Yun Shang had just completed the 3 days and 3 nights of training. Before leaving the cave, Yun Shang counted the spirit stones in her beast speech ring. There was a total of 1,100 spirit stones. 3 days and 3 nights, 1,100 spirit stones. Blood-toothed crocodile was a level 7 or 8 magical beast. Because it was a blood cloud beast, its spirit stones were more expensive than other magical beasts. These spirit stones could be sold for 1,000,000 gold coins. Yun Shang did not know how Feng Tian was doing, but she had tried her best. On the first day, she used the few warriors from the elite camp to lure and kill nearly 500 blood-toothed crocodiles. Just digging out the spirit stones and taking out the meat took her the whole day. At night she stayed in the cave. During the day, she used the poisoned blood-toothed crocodile's corpse to continue killing them. For the next 2 days, she did not know if it was because of her crazy killing that made the blood-toothed crocodiles wary and unwilling to surface. The number of blood-toothed crocodiles that came to die decreased. On the last day there were only about 300 of them. It could be said that she had killed all the blood-toothed crocodiles within a 10-mile radius of the river. If she went further down, she would have to go to the lower reaches of the Crimson Moon River, or even the middle of the Duqian Blood Beast world. That was obviously not a place where a newbie like Yun Shang could go. After tidying up, Yun Shang walked towards the Duqian relay station. At the relay station, Second Elder and a few of the students who had returned earlier were already waiting there. Many of them looked like they had just been through a fierce battle, and there were more or less wounds on their bodies. In comparison, Feng Tian's situation was much better. He didn't say a word and waited at the side, waiting for the Second Elder to announce the final result after everyone returned. When Yun Shang walked in, she looked relaxed and content. It was as if she had returned from a vacation for the past 3 days. When the second elder saw Yunsheng, he couldn't help but cough. His expression looked a little strange. At night, there were still over 20 students who had yet to return. The second elder looked at the newbie chessboard and realized that the 20 or so students who were supposed to be returning had all suddenly disappeared. The magic badges that symbolized them all disappeared at once. There were no signs of any powerful magical beasts around the students. Second elder's heart immediately sank. Not good, it's eating people. The blood clouds are eating people. Several warriors covered in blood rushed into the station in fright. Those warriors had just passed through the middle of the Duqian blood beast world, and were preparing to rush to the relay station before night fell. Who knew that at this moment, they would hear a sharp whistle-like sound. Looking up, there was a colorful strange cloud in the sky, flashing with colorful light. That strange cloud suddenly swallowed a few nearby martial artists, who were not on guard, were swept up by the strange force and were all swallowed up in an instant. That strange cloud was still moving. Looking at its direction, it was heading towards the middle of the Duqian blood beast world. Hearing this, the second elder finally understood why more than 20 students had disappeared all of a sudden. It seemed that these students must have met the strange cloud on their way and been swallowed and swept away. The Duqian blood beast world was the birthplace of the blood beast clouds on the mainland. The area where the blood beast clouds were born was in the middle of the blood beast world. The blood beast that appeared there was much more powerful than the magical beasts in the outer area. But now, the 20 or so new students were still missing. Second elder had to find out where they were. The second elder pondered. He only had 30 new students under him at the moment. Although these students had completed the newcomer trials, they did not have the ability to enter the middle of the blood beast world. It seemed that he could only contact Great Elder and find a group of senior students who had experience entering the middle of the blood beast world. Only then could he find the missing students. Just as the second elder was hesitating, a martial artist who looked like an elder rushed in. He was 7 feet tall and had a red face. Behind him there were a few new students who were seriously injured. "Xiaohe, you're really here. Hurry up and give me some life-saving pills." As soon as the cultivator entered, he saw the second elder and didn't give him any time to explain. He grabbed hold of the second elder and didn't let him go. "Teng Leigang, that is your student, not mine. What are you shouting for?" Second elder was vexed about how to solve this sudden incident. Being shouted at by this person made him even more depressed. This person was called Teng Leigang. He was the 6th elder of the elite warrior camp. He had a rough personality. Like Elder Hellion, he had a loud voice and a rash personality. Second elder did not like him. "You old man, if you don't save them, don't expect me to tell you where the missing students are." Teng Leigang glared. Saving people was like putting out a fire. This old man was so long-winded. "What, you saw my students? Where are they?" Hearing this, second elder immediately took out some elixirs and ordered the students at the side to treat and bandage the injured. Humph, that group of unlucky bastards. They were all swallowed by the 5-colored cloud. Teng Leigang thought of the previous encounter, and his back was drenched in cold sweat. "Teng Leigang, you watched our students get swallowed and did not help." When the second elder heard this, he was instantly enraged. He didn't care that all the students were present and grabbed Teng Leigang's warrior robe. "Old man, you still dare to shout at me. If I did not have to save those useless people, how many students would I have lost?" Teng Leigang was enraged. He was like a red-eyed bull. This time the second elder had misunderstood the warriors' elite camp. Teng Leigang and second elder were the same. They brought the newcomers of the elite warrior camp to participate in the 3-day and 3-night blood purge. Just as Teng Leigang gathered the students and prepared to return to the relay station, they coincidentally met the 20 or so students of the elite mage camp. A 5-colored cloud suddenly appeared in the sky. Because of the strange color of the cloud, it was different from the normal beast blood clouds. The warriors could not help but take a few more glances at it. Who knew that the strange cloud would suddenly release a strange tornado-like force? The 20 or so students of the elite mage camp cried out miserably as they were all sucked into the strange cloud. It was hard to say whether they were dead or alive. Tung Legang thought that the elite mage camp and the elite warrior camp were of the same origin. If he did not save them, he would be too heartless. Thus, he ordered a few elite students to go forward and save them. How could he have known that the strange multicolored cloud was so powerful that those martial artists failed to rescue them? Some were injured and some were swept away. In the end, it was he who risked his life to save those who were missing arms and legs. Chapter 736. Speaking of this, Tung Legang was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This time he led the team out. Not only did he not gain any merit, but he also lost so many people. Some of them were seriously injured. He did not know if there would be any sequelae after treatment. These warriors were the elites of the warriors' elite camp. This kind of injury was likely to cause permanent damage. When he returned, he did not know how the ghost prison's great elder would punish him. Thinking of this, Tung Legang did not have a good tone. Second elder, those people's bleeding has been stopped. However, to recover quickly, they need the help of a magician who knows light magic. Yun Shang walked up at the right time. Only then did the two elders withdraw their hands. Elder Tung looked at the injuries of the wounded, and found that the wounds of the students were properly treated. He then looked at the female magician who spoke earlier. Seeing her patiently distributing elixirs and calming the emotions of the wounded, the anger in his heart subsided a little. Just when the two elders were not pleasing to the eye, a lot of wounded people came into the relay station one after another. What everyone said was more or less the same as what Elder Tung said. Most of these people came from other countries or clans on the continent. They also encountered the strange five-colored cloud. But according to the time and place, it was obvious that these people encountered a five-colored cloud. The situation suddenly became urgent. The five-colored cloud seemed to be a kind of beast blood cloud. But this kind of cloud could even swallow a martial arts master, or even a martial arts saint. It was much more powerful than the ordinary beast blood cloud. Moreover, looking at the situation, the five-colored beast blood cloud appeared and disappeared. Its whereabouts and number were also uncertain. It seems that we can only contact the camp first. Elder Tung, I have offended you just now, please forgive me. Second elder also felt that the situation had reached the point where they had to contact the camp. Tung Legang also calmed down and went to take care of his students. Yun Shang was also very busy. As the only doctor present, she was so busy that she did not sleep for the whole night just by bandaging the wounds. Fortunately, she had already experienced this kind of scene when she was a volunteer at the Red Cross. This night, Yun Shang and the new students did not have a good rest. In the relay station, there would be people coming to report from time to time. Some of the wounded had already stopped breathing before they even reached the relay station. At dawn the next day in the relay station, everyone's face was filled with exhaustion and panic. Finally, it was noon. The door of the relay station was pushed open, and an unfamiliar elder led a group of students in. They were travel-worn and had very little luggage. There were not many of them, only about 10 of them. Although there were only a dozen people, Yun Shang knew many of them. Among them were Qi, Gufeng, Lan and Chan Liener. As soon as they entered, the smell of blood in the relay station made them frown. Due to the sudden news from the second elder, most of the instructors and students in the camp were still outside. Seeing that the situation could not be delayed, the first elder personally selected a few people to provide reinforcements. When Gufeng and Qi found out that it was related to Yun Shang, they immediately begged their mentors to come with them. They were worried about Yun Shang's safety. In second elder's message, he did not mention whether Yun Shang was among the 20 or so students who had gone missing. When they saw that Yun Shang was safe and sound, Qi and Gufeng heaved a sigh of relief. The elder leading the team was the fourth elder of the magic elite camp. He was proficient in all kinds of magic arrays. He was not in the camp earlier, so Yun Shang did not recognize him. When the fourth elder entered the relay station, he noticed that the number of new students had shrunk by half. It was the first time in the history of the magic elite camp that such a heavy loss had occurred. Among the instructors, the only light magic instructor who came this time was the Shiguang, Gufeng's instructor. The Shiguang instructor looked ordinary, but he had a comfortable face. He was a middle-aged man with an elegant temperament. When he saw Yun Shang, although he did not like Yun Shang's instructor Dark Gold, He had a good impression of Yun Shang. You are Yun Shang? I heard Gufeng talk about you often. I heard that your healing magic is also very powerful. If we have time, we can exchange pointers. The Shi Guang instructor had already seen the injuries of most of the new students. At first glance, even the experienced Taoist like Shi Guang found that Yun Shang had handled the matter in a timely manner, and couldn't help but praise her. The fourth elder asked, "The newbie test has ended, right? What's the result this time?" Feng Tian, who was standing at the side, puffed out his chest. He believed that with his results this time it was natural for him to get first place. Dozens of new students, especially Feng Tian, looked at the Shi Guang instructor eagerly. The first place this time is Yun Shang. The second place is Feng Tian. The third place is Lu Lianghu. The second elder announced the result that surprised everyone. But what was even more surprising was when the second elder told everyone that Yun Shang had killed 1,100 blood cloud beasts in 3 days and 3 nights. When Yun Shang's first kill record reached as high as 501 blood cloud beasts, everyone, including the new students of the mainland's elite warrior camp, was dumbfounded. Feng Tian stared at Yun Shang's magic badge in disbelief. In the panic earlier, he did not notice that Yun Shang's badge actually showed such a shocking number. The 4-digit number of blood cloud beasts on Yun Shang's magic badge stunned the new and old students. Feng Tian took a look and tore off his magic badge with a gloomy expression. Especially when the second elder announced that not only did Yun Shang get first place, but she also broke the first kill record of the newbie test. The number of blood cloud beasts killed in a single day had reached 501 blood cloud beasts. In the mainland's elite warrior camp, there was a saying that the number of blood cloud beasts killed on the first day of the trial for the first time was called the first kill. The first kill record was held by Lu Tongtian in the early days, and no one had broken it for 8 or 9 years. Wow, that's a broken record. 500 blood cloud beasts. That's breaking Lu Tongtian's record. TSK, how can the old students live like this? Looks like in another 2 years the top 3 on the magic power rankings will change. It was unknown who it was, but someone unintentionally shouted a few words. Her. 1,100 blood cloud beasts? What a joke. Chen Lianer's face was full of disbelief. With Yun Shang's strength, it was already unbelievable that she could become the fighting king in the Yellow Wings division, not to mention in a place like the Blood Beast sector. Not only the remaining 40 students, but even the old students who had rushed over were the same, especially Lu Tongtian. When he found out that his record was broken by a new student in the newbie test, his face was full of suspicion. Some people even had disdain in their eyes. Chapter 737. This group of people brought by the fourth elder could be considered the true elites of the mainland's magic elite camp. Even with their talent and ability, they did not receive such an honor during the newcomer's trial. What was Yun Shang's level of training? She had only been in the camp for less than 2 or 3 years, and her level of training had only just broken through to become a holy mage. To put it bluntly, this kind of person did not deserve to stand here and be on equal footing with them. Yun Shang had already expected that there would be people who did not believe her. She did not say much, and took out a bag from the beast language ring. She tipped the bag and more than 1,000 spirit stones rolled out. The rarest thing was that these spirit stones were all the same size, color, and shape. They are all spirit stones from blood-toothed crocodiles, and they are all in good condition. The fourth elder inspected. I have also observed. There are no problems with her results. The second elder personally testified. Feng Tian was somewhat vexed. He did not expect that he would be defeated by someone who was 1 level lower than him. Even the second elder had announced the results. This proved that Yun Shang's results were well deserved. Here is a cleansing spirit pill as the reward for first place. As for second and third place, you will receive the opportunity to learn high-level magic when you return to the elite camp. Because of the unexpected disappearance of the students, the second elder was no longer in the mood to think about the newcomer's trial. Yun Shang had received the cleansing spirit pill, but unfortunately, she could not find a chance to use it at the moment. After the newcomer's trial came to an end, the second elder and the fourth elder discussed through the night. Very quickly they came up with a plan. Today's situation is urgent. We must find the 20 students as soon as possible. I have discussed with the fourth elder and decided to form a temporary battle team to complete this rescue mission. Before that, I want to tell you some things about the Duqian Blood Beast world. These things can be said to be the biggest secret of the Duqian Blood Beast world. Second elder analyzed the situation and decided to announce the matter of the Blood Beast world to the public. When the new students heard this, they all revealed curious expressions. On the other hand, the senior students, especially Lu Tongtian and Lan, all had calm expressions. It was obvious that they already knew the secret of the Blood Beast world. The second elder's usual amiable appearance was replaced with an incomparably solemn expression. I believe that everyone here should know the origin of the Duqian Blood Beast world. The 8 most powerful divine weapons of the continent were also made famous in the Blood Beast sector. Then, do you know of the 8 most powerful beast tribes on the continent thousands of years ago? Gu Feng thought for a while and said, in the history of the continent, the 8 most powerful beast god clans were known as the Bakra Orcs. They included the Black Qilin, 9 Luan, Celestial Fox, Ba Serpent, Winged Rock, Green Hell Wolf, Behemoth and D-Clan. It is said that the leaders of the 8 wild beasts died in this Duqian Blood Beast world. What Gu Feng said was something that most of the people present knew. On the Boundless Continent, no matter if it was a warrior, a mage or a summoner, after entering a dojo, temple or summoning center, they would have to learn about the corresponding brief history of the continent. Among them, there were records of the Bakra Orcs, the greatest enemy of the human race, as well as the 8 barons' divine equipment and the 8 great experts. The brief history of the continent began with the 8 barons chapter. About 5,000 years ago, the boundless continent was still under the absolute rule of the beast race. The beast race was licentious, taxed excessively, and even enslaved the human race. The human race was weak and was enslaved for thousands of years. At that time, 8 extraordinarily talented powerhouses appeared among the human race. They were the greatest magicians, warriors, and summoners of the continent at that time. These 8 experts found the most outstanding blacksmith of the continent and created the 8 barons' divine equipment. They swore to expel the beast race. When the war broke out, almost the entire continent was in turmoil. The flames of war spread across the entire continent, and nearly 90% of the human race and beast race were implicated. In the end, the 8 great experts and the leader of the Bakra Orcs agreed to fight to the death with 1,000,000 soldiers. At that time, the 8 great experts and the 8 leaders of the beast race all had the terrifying power to destroy the world. They were worried that if they fought to the death, they might implicate the entire continent. No one wanted to end up with a continent riddled with holes at the end of the war. In order to avoid suffering, they used supreme magic to temporarily open up a magical space called the Blood Realm. The Blood World was the predecessor of the Duqian Blood Beast world. It was also the battlefield where the 1,000,000 soldiers of the beast race fought. The beast race and the human race fought for the right to rule the continent. In the end, the 8 great experts of the human race used the 8 barons' divine equipment to kill the heads of the 8 leaders. They used the blood of the 8 leaders to create a magical array that defied the heavens. Only then did the war that lasted for nearly 100 years stop. That magical array was located at the core of the Blood Beast world, the Duqian Blood Seal. Even after the elders of the 8 great clans were killed, a large number of demonic beasts and demonic soldiers were still trapped in the Blood World. In the end, they were trapped to death in the Duqian Blood World. After so many years, these mountains of corpses and seas of blood rotted. The souls of the beasts formed a blood evil. Even the air was poisonous. The blood evil accumulated over the years and formed the beast blood clouds. Some of the beast blood clouds hatched in the Duqian Blood World and became the demonic beasts that ran rampant in the Blood Beast world. Some of them crawled through the cracks of the Blood World and entered the boundless land. These were the things that the students present knew from the recorded history of the continent. Second Elder, what does this have to do with our rescue mission? Gu Feng's question was also the question that everyone else had. The recorded history of the continent only recorded part of the facts. There is a secret that no one knows. That is, the Bakra Orcs that were thought to be extinct a long time ago were not completely extinct. Second Elder sighed. What? The students were all shocked when they heard this. Yunsheng's heart also skipped a beat. She herself was a descendant of the beast clan of the 8 Wastelands. However, she did not expect that other than her mother, Hu Jiusheng, There were actually other descendants of the beast clan of the Eight Wastelands in this world. History always recorded the most dignified side of the victors. The descendants of the Eight Great Masters who established the few big countries in the boundless land were also whitewashed by the historians. On the continent, there were only a few historical records that recorded that the Eight Great Masters killed the leaders of the Bakra orcs. However, the leaders of the Eight Wild Beasts were indeed peerless masters. At the moment of life and death, they used their last bit of divine power to open a passage in the blood world. Through that secret passage, the leaders of the Eight Wastelands beast clans sent the last bloodline of their tribes to another continent. Speaking of which, you should have more or less guessed the cause of this incident. The second elder knew of this matter from the personal notes of the two founders of the elite camp. Since the elite camp knew about this incident, the other powers of the continent would more or less know about it too. That means the Bakra orcs are not extinct. Their descendants are most likely still living and breeding in another continent? The students became restless when they heard this. Chapter 738. That's right. The descendants of the Bakra orcs may have already settled down in another continent and formed a prosperous and powerful existence comparable to the boundless continent. If you were the descendants of the Bakra orcs and were exiled and slaughtered many years ago, what would you do? The second elder lamented. One day, they would kill their way back to the boundless continent and avenge the fallen leaders of the Eight Great Beast clans. The students already had an answer in their hearts. At the same time, a wave of fear surged in their hearts. The era of the Eight Great Masters had passed many years ago. On the continent, there were no more peak existences comparable to the Eight Great Masters. Even the 8 barren artifacts used by the 8 Great Masters were nowhere to be found. Under such circumstances, if the descendants of the Bakra orcs were to make a comeback, the boundless continent would be in imminent danger. Knowing this, the descendants of the 8 Great Masters, including the 5 great countries and other forces, had been trying their best to find clues about the descendants of the Bakra orcs for thousands of years. They had opened part of the seal of the Dutian Blood Beast world in hopes of finding the secret passage opened by the 8 Great Masters through the Blood Beast world and finally exterminating the Bakra orcs. However, after so many years of searching, there were no results. The 5 great countries and other forces issued an order to report immediately if there were any clues about the descendants of the Bakra orcs. If there were any suspected descendants of the Bakra orcs, they were to be killed without mercy. The second elder had no choice but to tell the students about the past that had been covered in dust for many years. He suspected that the leak of the Sky Magic Array in Sky Wing City had directly led to the return of the descendants of the Bakra orcs to the continent. Even the beast clans were looking for the secret passage that had been left behind. Second elder, you mean that the 5-colored cloud this time is very likely related to the descendants of the Bakra orcs? Although Lon knew a little, this was the first time he had heard of the existence of a secret passage in the Dutian Blood Beast world. That's just a guess. Until now, they have not been able to figure out what the 5-colored cloud is. What happened in the central region of the Blood Beast world? The only thing he could do now was to enter the central region and investigate. These are only my and fourth elder's speculations. The rest is for you to discover. Hearing the second elder's words, the hearts of the students sank. Especially Yun Sheng, her heart was in turmoil. She finally understood why the Zhao state wanted to kill Hu Jiuxing after finding out Hu Jiuxing's identity. Why would the Emperor of Zhou state cooperate with the Zhao state to encircle and suppress Hu Jiuxing? The ancestor of the Zhou state emperor was also one of the 8 great masters. He must have left a secret handwritten letter or a posthumous edict for his descendants. Half of the blood of the 8 Wastelands beast clan flowed in her body. If this matter was leaked out, where would she go? Yun Sheng thought to herself. Second elder considered the fact that there were more than 40 new students who were not qualified to enter the middle region of the Dutian Blood Beast world. But the rescue mission required a large number of people. The new students had to participate. Second elder and fourth elder also made the corresponding arrangements. Second elder and a dozen students stayed at the relay station. Fourth elder led the remaining 30 students into the middle region of the Blood Beast world. Other than the dazzling light teacher and his students, the rest had to stay at the relay station. All the students had to join a battle team to enter the middle region of the Blood Beast world. Fourth Elder led 10 people each. He chose 2 students to be temporary team leaders to lead their respective battle teams. Lu Tongtian Lan, you are the strongest among all the students. You have the most experience in entering and exiting the Blood Beast world. I will leave the new students to you. Lu Tongtian and Lan also chose their own students. Chen Liener, Feng Tian and Lu Tongtian were in one team. Yun Shang, Qi and Lan were in another. The 3 teams walked side by side and headed towards the middle region of the Blood Beast world. Along the way, Yun Shang noticed that the outer region of the Blood Beast world had indeed changed. Many warriors and magicians had retreated towards the outer region of the Blood Beast world. Occasionally, there would be news of the 5-colored cloud swallowing people. At the bottom of the Crimson Moon River, the red blood fog ahead was even thicker. Looking ahead, everything 10 meters away was a blur. Before they left, Second Elder had instructed that all the students had to take an antidote before entering the middle region of the Blood Beast world. The old students took 1, the new students took 2. But regardless of whether they were old or new, they had to leave the Blood Beast world within 24 hours after taking the antidote. Also, under no circumstances were they allowed to enter the core region of the Blood Beast world. Otherwise, if the thick blood aura around the blood seal invaded the human body, it could cause a mental breakdown and cause them to go berserk. Yes, sir, everyone said in unison. Just as the 3 teams were about to enter the middle region of the Blood Beast world, Lu Tongtian suddenly stopped Lan and her team. Lan, you and I each have a team. Why don't we have a spar? Lu Tongtian said arrogantly as he glanced at Lan. Lan was the number 2 on the magic ranking of the continent's elite camp. In the past 2 years, she had been the most direct threat to Lu Tongtian. Moreover, she was also the direct disciple of the Great Elder. The camp had always been discussing that Lan would very likely inherit the position of Great Elder in the future. This made Lu Tongtian, who wanted to stand out and make a name for himself on the continent, very wary. Lan was also a proud person. Since Lu Tongtian had issued a challenge, she naturally would not back down. In terms of composition, Lu Tongtian's team had Chen Liener, who was in the top 100 on the magic ranking, and 3 or 4 other seniors. Among the new students there was also Feng Tian, who was previously the number 1 on the potential ranking. As for Lan's group, due to her personality, she did not like Chen Liener and Feng Tianyi, so she chose Yun Shang and Qi, who were relatively low-key. The remaining seniors were all rookies with average strength. It looked like Lu Tongtian's team was slightly stronger, but Lan was not discouraged. Okay, we'll use this 24-hour as the limit. Within 24 hours, the team that kills the most blood cloud beasts or rescues the most students will be the winner. As for the wager, it's up to you. Lan immediately discussed with her team members and decided to accept the challenge. Then I won't stand on ceremony. My wager is that the team that loses this time will automatically give up on the next mission to find the divine artifact. Lu Tongtian had already expected Lan to fall for it. Lan did not expect Lu Tongtian to make such a request. The day to find the 8 barren divine artifact was coming. The Great Elder had said long ago that Lan must participate this time. Lu Tongtian must have heard some rumors, which was why he deliberately said this. There had always been rumors that the 8 barren divine artifact unearthed this time was very likely to be the fashion's bracelet left behind by the first Fazhen. The Great Elder's original intention was to let Lan use this opportunity to obtain the fashion's bracelet and inherit the Great Elder's mantle. Chapter 739. The Fourth Elder did not interfere with the competition. For these elite students, the competition between the 2 teams was more beneficial for their growth. Moreover, the Fourth Elder also wanted to see who was more suitable to be the leader of the next divine artifact mission of the continent's magic elite, camp through this competition. Azura hesitated. The trip to the divine weapon was very important to her. If she agreed rashly and her teacher found out, he would be furious. Seeing that Azura was still hesitating, Chen Liener took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. She said sweetly, "It seems that Sister Lan thinks that just the qualification for the divine weapon mission is not enough. Why don't I add 1,000,000 gold coins in my name? The winning team will get an extra 1,000,000 gold coins." The students who entered the Duqian Blood Beast World trial, especially Lu and Azra, had even entered the middle area of the Blood Beast world. The soul stones from killing a general-level magical beast were worth hundreds of thousands. 1,000,000 gold coins, in the eyes of Lu Tongtian and senior sister Lan, was really nothing. Chen Lianer only dared to strut around here because of Lu Tongtian's reputation. If Azra did not agree now, it would seem that she was stingy and afraid of Lu Tongtian and the others. Since we are going to compete, how can 1,000,000 gold coins be worthy of Sister Lan? Why don't I add a bet? 100 million gold coins. The loser will hand over 100 million gold coins, and the right to participate in the Divine Weapon mission. The clear female voice was very sudden. The expressions of the 20 people in the two teams changed. 100 million gold coins was a shocking amount. Even Fourth Elder couldn't help but tremble. Looking at the person who spoke, it was Yun Sheng, who had just set a new record in the newcomer trial. Student, a competition between students is only for learning from each other. 100 million gold coins is a bit too much. Fourth Elder quickly interfered. Or is it that senior brother Lu, number 1 on the magic power rankings, together with a dozen other senior brothers and sisters, can't even take out a measly 100 million gold coins and are afraid to accept the challenge? Yun Sheng looked at Lu Tongtian and Chen Lianer provocatively. After being provoked by Yun Sheng like this, Lu Tongtian's face flushed red. He snorted, "This junior sister sure talks big. But before junior sister invites a battle, shouldn't you consider clearly whether you can take out so many gold coins? Millions of gold coins might not be a big deal, but hundreds of millions of gold coins was equivalent to a country's annual expenditure." Lu Tongtian did not believe that a commoner girl who had been in the camp for less than 3 years would be able to fork out so much money. Limitless gold card, usable throughout the continent. There are 100 million gold coins inside. Fourth Elder, please help me appraise it. Yun Sheng handed the 100 million gold card to the Fourth Elder. The Fourth Elder subconsciously took the gold card. After examining it, he confirmed that it was indeed a gold card issued by the Limitless Chamber of Commerce. Lu Tongtian's face twitched. Seeing this, Chen Lianer said softly, "Senior brother Lu, accept her offer. Why don't you accept the gold coins that are delivered to your doorstep?" Lan was also surprised by Yun Sheng's generosity. But after being provoked by Yun Sheng, the hesitation in Lan's heart disappeared. If they lost, the gold coins would belong to Yun Sheng. If they won, the glory would belong to Lan and her entire team. All right, then I implore Fourth Elder to bear witness. After 24 hours, let's see who rescues the trap students first and who rescues the most students. Lu Tongtian and Lan clapped their hands to make an oath. The Fourth Elder could only let them bear witness. See you in 24 hours. Lan swallowed the antidote in one gulp. Behind her, the students did the same. The two teams, 20 or so people, charged into the middle of the Duqian Blood Beast world. At this time, in the middle of the Duqian Blood Beast world, beside a vast red river, a multicolored cloud landed on the ground. When the cloud landed, the multicolored light around it gradually dissipated, revealing its true appearance. This multicolored cloud, which was mysterious to the outside world, was actually an empty ship. It turned out that this multicolored cloud, which had caused panic in the Duqian Blood Beast world, was actually an empty ship with powerful magic. On the multicolored empty ship hung a flag, embroidered with a snow-white fox. The fox had 5 tails behind it, looking very strange. After the empty ship landed, a young girl came down from it. The girl was dressed in pink. She had almond-shaped eyes and peachy cheeks. She had black hair and golden eyes. She wasn't old, but she had developed very well. Her waist was thin and her chest was big. Her every movement exuded an irresistible charm. After she came down, a group of young men and women followed her down. Those who came down from the ship were all young men and women in their 20s. All of them were graceful and had a charm that could captivate one's soul. At the place where the multicolored empty ship landed, there were already a few young men and women with different styles waiting. At first glance, these people were obviously not from the boundless land. But from their appearance, these people were definitely not demonic beasts. They looked no different from ordinary humans. No one would have thought that these young men and women who looked no different from humans were the descendants of the Bakra orcs, who had been trying to exterminate the boundless land for thousands of years. Although the almond-eyed girl was not old, she had a natural charm. She walked over leisurely, her slender waist swaying. Her beautiful eyes looked around with some anticipation. Hu Linglong, you are looking for a cuckold. Looking for a man as soon as you come. Indeed, the women of the celestial fox people can't live without men. Seeing the almond-eyed girl's coquettish appearance, a girl mocked. The girl's appearance was much worse than Hu Linglong's. She was unusually tall, with a narrow face and high cheekbones. She had a head of messy yellow hair. Although she was a girl, she was taller than a man. She looked like a small giant. The worst thing was that the girl's nose was very strange. It was big and flat as if it had been run over by a wheel. She obviously hated Hu Linglong, so she spoke with sarcasm. Rita, the women of the celestial fox people are naturally beautiful. Unlike some women, no one wants them even if they throw themselves at you. Hu Linglong covered her mouth and giggled. When the woman from the Beaming clan called Rita heard this, she frowned and a mocking smile appeared on her face. Hu Linglong, are you tired of living? You dare to offend the Beaming clan. The descendant of the Beaming clan, Rita, shouted. Her body moved faster than lightning. She charged straight towards the almond-eyed girl with her fighting spirit. Her collision tore a huge hole in the air. It was as if she had a force of 1,000 pounds. The almond-eyed girl looked delicate. If she was hit like this, her blood would definitely splatter. Unexpectedly, the almond-eyed girl giggled. When Rita knocked her away, her delicate figure disappeared. Behind Rita, Hu Linglong was standing gracefully with a complacent face. Hu Linglong, you actually learned the super magic of the celestial fox people, Wind Shadow spell. Rita did not expect that her attack would not succeed. Chapter 740. Hee Rita. Don't underestimate the celestial fox tribe, just because the Beaming tribe is a middle-tier beast tribe. Once upon a time, our celestial fox tribe was a top-tier dire beast that was comparable to the Black Chelan tribe. The secret passageway that saved the entire beast tribe was opened by the Black Chelan king and the nine-tailed celestial fox ancestor. Hu Linglong revealed a fascinated expression when she mentioned the glory of the celestial fox tribe. Bah, you still have the nerve to mention those old and rotten things. If you have the ability, you can mention them in front of Hei Linlin. See if she won't break your spine, Rita spat. When Hu Linglong heard Hei Linlin's name, she was both fearful and angry. However, she did not dare to flare up. After all, what Rita said was true. These young people of unknown origins were the descendants of the Bakra orcs that the second elder had guessed earlier. However, the second elder did not expect that these young people were all the direct descendants of the Bakra orcs. They were the people who were most likely to inherit the 8 wilderness beast gods' legacy in the future. It was definitely not a coincidence that they were gathered here. Back then, the 2 most powerful leaders of the Bakra orcs tribes, the Black Chelan king and the nine-tailed celestial fox ancestor, opened up a secret passageway at the last moment and transferred the last bit of the Bakra orcs' bloodline. However, what everyone, including the 8 great powerhouses, did not know was that the leaders of the Bakra orcs not only opened up a secret passageway at the last moment, they also passed down the beast god's legacy that contained the strongest power of the Bakra orcs to their descendants. The beast god's legacy also contained a portion of the beast god's power. It was also because of the lack of this portion of the beast god's power that the leaders of the Bakra orcs tribes were defeated by the 8 great powerhouses of the human race at the last moment. However, in order to allow the descendants of the Bakra orcs to return to the mainland while they were still alive, the 8 leaders could only give up their lives. The descendants of the Bakra orcs were sent to a desolate and remote mainland. After hundreds of years of development, the descendants of the Bakra orcs conquered the natives of the mainland and established their own political power. Among them, the most outstanding dire beast bloodline would be chosen as the Bakra orcs' successor. Most of the successors of the Bakra orcs knew each other since young. They were born and had been baptized at the beast god altar. However, the status of each successor was different. The reason for this was related to the development of the 8 Wastelands beast clans over the years. After the Bakra Oran tribe had Bakra orcs, the tribe after a few changes, the once prosperous tribe had declined. Hu Linglong also started to chant. The two were about to fight. At this moment, two figures rushed over from afar like arrows piercing through the clouds. You are too presumptuous. Do you think that the commotion is not big enough? Zi's face was cold as he stood between the two. When Rita and Hu Linglong saw Zi in green who was walking over slowly, they were delighted. Rita looked at Zi, and there was a rare hint of shyness on her face. Zi was the descendant of the D clan, and this clan had always produced handsome men and beautiful women since ancient times. In Rita's eyes, Zi's sword-like eyebrows were raised, and his slender eyes were shining with a cold and arrogant light. His body was thin, and the strong lines of his chin made him look very cold, but at the same time, he exuded a strong masculine aura. Hu Linglong looked at Green. Green was the direct successor of the superior beast Green Phoenix tribe. He was also the only genius among the Bakra orcs who could be compared to the genius girl of the Black Kirin tribe, He Lin Lin. Green and Zi were good friends, and both of them had their own merits. In comparison, Zi was like a 10,000-year-old iceberg, aloof and cold, while Green was more attractive. Although he was young, he was very handsome, and had a kind of neutral beauty. Even the charming celestial fox Hu Linglong admitted that she could not compare to Green. Rita had a crush on Zi, and Hu Linglong was obsessed with Green. It was not a secret among the successors. When the successors of the other tribes saw this scene, they were also used to it. As soon as she saw Lu, Hu Linglong immediately put away her crossbow attitude. She shyly walked to Lu's side. Where are He Lin Lin and Qingya? Green and Zi only saw 4 people. They were Qi Muguan of the Bash tribe, Qian Shuecho of the Winged Rock tribe, Rita of the Behemoth tribe, and Hu Linglong of the Celestial Fox people. They did not see He Lin Lin of the Black Kirin tribe and Qingya of the Green Hell Wolf tribe. There will be 2 more chapters tonight, and there will be an explosion tomorrow. I guarantee that there will be at least 10 chapters. With the support of those with the ability, if there are more monthly ticket subscriptions, there will be an explosion again. Ever since Lord Shengong ordered people to retrieve the formation map and found clues to the secret passage back then, the leaders of the Bakra orcs were eager to return to the boundless land as soon as possible. Although the ancestors of the Bakra orcs had sent away their descendants back then, in order to prevent the human experts from discovering the secret passage, they sealed it at the last moment. For so many years, the Bakra orcs had always wanted to use the safe secret passage to return to the mainland. This time, taking advantage of the opening of the space crack in the 8 wastelands, the leaders selected the most elite inheritors of their respective clans to explore. Their goal was to find the secret passage and even find the remains of the leaders of the 8 great beast clans. We have already caught them. If you think it's too troublesome, just kill them. Hu Linglong saw that Zi was unhappy and was afraid that Green would be angry too. She was angry and wanted to kill all of them. Awoo! A powerful wolf howl came from the southwest direction. Let's keep them first. Since the humans have already found out, I will have my uses. Green Tooth seems to have found the enemy. Let's wait and see. After Green said that, the others stopped talking and waited for Green Tooth of the Green Netherwolf tribe to make a move. Just as Yun Shang and the others entered the Dutian Blood Beast world, a black shadow rushed into the depths of the Dutian Blood Beast world. That was the place where the second elder had warned all the students that even the seniors were not allowed to enter without permission. That was also where the powerful magic formation drawn by the blood of the 8 great beast clans was drawn by the 8 powerful experts back then. That area was called the Dutian Blood Seal by the outside world. Outside the Dutian Blood Seal, there were layers of beast blood and demonic aura. After thousands of years of precipitation, these demonic aura spiraled together like a giant python that could swallow the sky and the earth. It was black and thick. Even a martial sage warrior would find it hard to breathe and be unable to move forward once he got close to it. However, this black shadow did not hesitate at all. Boom! It was faster than a flying demonic beast. The giant python raised its head angrily and stopped the black shadow from moving forward. The black shadow swept past. The moment it pierced through the demonic aura, the fighting aura around her exploded, creating a sonic boom like that of a cannonball. After passing through the demonic aura, the black shadow landed on the ground. Only then did the others see the true face of the black shadow that was moving at high speed. The black shadow was a beautiful and cold girl. She had short hair and deep facial features. She was wearing a close-fitting one-piece robe that outlined her slender and powerful limbs. Her slightly tanned skin, sexy lips, untamed brows, and the doqi emitted from her body made her as cold as a sharp dagger. This was a girl that no one could ignore. She was He Linlin, the current Qilin Saintess of the Black Qilin clan. After receiving the secret order from the Beast God Divine Palace, He Linlin and a group of Beast God inheritors passed through the space-time crack and came to the Dutian Blood Beast world. Her mission this time was to find the burial place of the 8 clan leaders with the other descendants of the 8 Baron clan and find that thing. When He Linlin was still a child, she had a cold and arrogant personality. She did not like to move with others. Therefore, she chose to enter the Dutian Blood Seal alone this time. Firstly, she was very curious about the Blood Seal. She wanted to see what kind of terrifying existence killed the 8 clan leaders who were once considered invincible in the continent. "Come out," He Linlin said as soon as she stood still. He Linlin was a top-notch warrior. She was a genius who had broken through to the martial emperor realm at such a young age. She did not notice anyone following her on the way here. It was also just now that she noticed that someone had been following her all the way. The figure of a man gradually became clear. His black hair was tied casually behind his head with a silver hairband. He had an imposing appearance. An extremely handsome man with a cold and gloomy aura appeared in front of He Linlin. Even He Linlin, who was used to seeing all kinds of handsome men in the Beast God tribe, was stunned. The man's aura was very strange. It was like magic power but also like fighting aura. This was a very strong man. "This is the New Year's red packet given by cute female dummy in the group. Big Fuzi said that she would not bet with Mud Cutie for a month. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.